And we are back.
We're back.
We are episode 17.
Episode 17. That's crazy.
It is crazy. We have a lot going.
You're just going through it.
I am going through it.
You're having a rough day.
I am. Because I have all of these ideas of grandeur, right? I have all these things that I want to do. And like we spent an hour in the red room trying to figure out how to set that up and like priced out all the equipment to set up a secondary podcast room so that we could go back and forth. And all we would have to do is take the cameras off, run them in there, put them on a tripod, hit record because I'd have mics and a mixer and my computer in there with a capture card and do all of that. And it would make live streams way easy. Mm-hmm. It would make reaction videos way easy because we would have a computer monitor that we can both look at. And after moving the treadmill and fucking moving boxes around, I'm going to have to bleep that out because I said the F word 2 minutes into a video. Anyway, so we were in there doing that, trying to figure that out. And after we wasted all that time, I came out here and realized that I don't have a third camera set up out here.
No.
Because I don't want to have a third camera set up out here. Aside from it being hundreds of gigabytes of data that has to be transferred to the computer every time we edit a podcast, it's more to clip. And it's not giving me more dynamic changes in terms of camera angles. It doesn't make sense to have it. It's just more work. And though people have said they like us side by side, which is the easiest way to edit, because I just shrink it down and put us side by side because they can see both of us as we're talking, studies have shown that having camera angled switches keeps people engaged longer because
keeps them stimulated.
Right, it keeps the brain stimulated. So we bought the third camera set up and had all that going, trying to make that a thing. And as I edited, it's just too much work. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to jump. Anyways, it made my edit time go way slower. And not having that third camera set up means that I can change all of this. And I can change all of this. And if I want to get rid of this little coffee table and get rid of this bookcase and have all of our computer shit around us and just keep this look, you can't see anything in the camera besides what we have directly behind us.
Right.
I don't know.
It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about. And I want to make it work to be as effective as possible. But right now, when we do reaction videos, I have to sit like this. Mm-hmm. And it's distracting. Right. And even though those are recorded side by side on OBS, there's no camera switches. It's easy. It's weird when I'm watching like this and everybody's watching and I'm staring off camera and that little box is there. Mm-hmm. It's also hard for me to reach, to do everything. So I don't know if that means that I need to move this closer to me so that everything is right there and just get like an extension for the mouse. I don't know. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
And it would be way cheaper to buy a couple extensions and move this around than it would be to buy a whole nother setup, because another setup would be another Rodecaster Pro 2, 2 more microphones. That alone is $1,600 plus the stands, the cables, the headphone cables, all that shit is, you're going to be $2,000 by the time it's all said and done. New patron.
Ooh. That's like 2 in 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'll wait and plug the patron later in the show. I don't want to do it so early.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. We did get your computer set up over there and all that's there. So there's a real possibility that I may just move the table out of here, move this further into the corner, get rid of the bookcase so that we're actually facing each other, and put the chairs in the corner, and then put our desks back to back the way we had them, because we could effectively have both in the same room.
Right.
The only downside of that is you're going to lose your monitor, and I would have to get small monitors for both of us and bring that other desk back out. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to do all that and then have to redo it again.
It's definitely a lot.
It is a lot, and it's excessive, and it's not really necessary. Mm-hmm. I know you have 3 emails picked out.
I do.
I screenshotted one that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And when we get ready to do that one, I'll just have you search it by name. Mm-hmm. We have created a reaction channel. So this is, we're doing some housekeeping. We've created a reaction channel. That reaction channel is To Be Better Reacts. We've only put 1 video up. But when we get to 1,000 people on that channel and 4,000 watched hours, we're going to monetize it and then start putting a ton of content on there. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to put the content up and then not be able to monetize the content and not get paid for it. So we're trying to put a little bit of content up and get it going, and then we can switch everything over for the reaction videos. I would like to do unboxing videos if I buy stuff, or like if we get new t-shirts and like do those kind of things on that channel. Mm-hmm. But I also realize that means that people who are subscribed to us have to subscribe to another channel to see that content, and it may not be worth it. It may really not be worth having that extra channel. This is all so new that everything is theoretical to me.
So this is going to sound really shitty, but that just sounds lazy to me. You're not going to go subscribe to just another. You just literally have to click subscribe and that's it.
Yeah, that's true too.
And it'll just start popping up in your feed.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I have people that I follow that have multiple channels, and I'm subscribed to all of them.
Right.
So I guess it's really not that big of a deal. I overthink and overanalyze everything, and I'm trying to streamline this and make it as easy as possible for the best amount of growth. But
I think you're doing a great job of that. Like making sure it's growing. Like, I mean, we're fucking growing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate to say that we've got lucky, because I don't believe that's the case.
Yeah.
I believe there's a spiritual aspect to this that's taking place, but it's just a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
It really is.
Since we're a whole 7 minutes in, you guys hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the notification bell to make sure you guys are seeing our content. Give a rundown of the new time frames. Mondays at 11, we do the premieres for the podcast. We are live in those chats most of the time. I am live all the time on those chats. She's live when she can be. Wednesdays is a side show. Friday is a side piece. Thursday night is the Love Languages, which is a live stream here on YouTube. And then Sunday night at 8 o'clock is the Patreon live, which is for Patreon exclusive. What?
We do so much shit.
We do.
I don't think I've never heard it listed like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. We have 5 things going a week right now.
Holy shit.
3 of them are pre-recorded. 2 of them are live.
Wow.
Yep. My microphone's clicking again.
This really is a full-time job, isn't it?
It is. Well, I mean, no, it's not. When you think about the hours put in, it's probably a part-time job on the recording aspect, but on the editing aspect and with what AJ does and all the TikTok shit, like, it's a lot. So it's a lot. It is a lot. It's enjoyable, and it is turning revenue now, which is nice. I think we've made back everything that we've invested into this month. So not bad for 4 months in.
Right.
But moving forward, everything that we make has got to continue to keep all this going. T-shirts dropped. For those of you who did not buy T-shirts, there are still some available as of now. tobebetter.co. Hit the merch. There's T-shirts there. We have 2 runs right now, and once those are gone, we're not going to remake those shirts. At least not yet. That's not the plan. The plan is to not redo them ever again. But if we get a high demand of them, maybe we will. But as of right now, that's not in the cards. I want to make a Love Is Not Enough T-shirt, and then I want to do another one that is just a cool phrase kind of thing. I just don't know what yet. So maybe, snakes grow between a rock and a hard place, or something like that. I don't really know yet. But we have a lot of crazy little snippets that people have used. And it's become like a thing for us. And I don't want to be a gimmicky thing that other people don't understand.
Right.
I would like to have something profound on the front of the shirt so that when people are wearing it, people are like, what is that? Where'd you get that from? You know what I mean? Or, hey, that's a cool shirt.
You want to know what I would wear? Have you considered you're the problem?
Yeah. Somebody else said that too.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I would wear that too, because it's kind of a good, it works as like a double entendre. Is a fuck you in both ways, which is kind of nice for me, because if you read it, I could be the problem. That's accountability. Or, you're the fucking problem. Do you have anything for house cleaning?
Not house cleaning, but I have a thought that I
Okay, let's do that then.
Explored. So I'm pretty sure it was an Orange and the New Black that we were watching last night. Somebody said, most people are better in the abstract. And I was like, damn, that's a good sentence. And for those of you who don't know what abstract means, it means existing in thought or as an idea, but not having a physical or concrete existence.
So the thought of someone
versus who they really are in life.
That's a lot of people's relationships.
It is.
Especially in that first 2 years.
Another definition is considering something theoretically or separately from something else. And the definition of theoretically is in a way that relates to the theory of a subject or area of study rather than its practical application. So in that sentence put into relationships, you are on that hopium. You're hoping that they're going to be better. You're hoping that they're going to change. Or when they start to really show who they are after that 2-year mark, you're like, you're not the same person you were. What happened? It's because you're learning who they are in a practical instance versus that theoretical one. You were obsessed with the abstract version of them, not who they are in real life.
That hopium would be a pretty dope T-shirt too. If we could create like our own definition of it and do it like a dictionary definition. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But the idea of somebody is what people fall in love with. You're falling in love with an idea of someone.
The idea of how things could be.
Right, because you're overlooking all the red flags and who they are and their shortcomings because you're in that obsessive phase. That's actually pretty good. Should maybe think about that on a shirt in the future too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just make sure you save that. I have all kinds of shit that I wanted to talk about, and then I sit down and I forget all of it. And I don't want to sit here and dig through my phone, and I didn't do the prep before I sit down, so hopefully some of it comes up while we're talking, and if not, it'll be on another episode.
Okay. So are we going to do like an hour of conversing? Or you just want to get into the emails?
I like having our back and forth we get before we get into it. Let me look. I
have something else saved.
Okay.
It had to be Orange is the New Black because I wrote down something else that someone said that no. It was Fire Country. We were watching Fire Country. And the person said nobody is looking at you, they're inside their own story. So the instance in the show was she was like, I failed my job, I didn't bring the person out of the room, the building was on fire, like everybody saw me drop the ball. And one of the other firefighters was like, we caught an arsonist. The son who hasn't left the room in 3 years left the room. The mom is recognizing she failed her son. This was another day of work for me. Nobody is looking at the failure you had today.
Right. Because
everybody is within their own failures or in their own story. So that whole idea of I can't be any better, everybody knows that I'm worthless, everybody looks down on me. It sucks to be invisible, but when you think about it, everybody is invisible to everybody else because they're inside their own trauma cycles and all that other bullshit that's happening.
Yeah, it makes sense. I missed that when we watched that.
So I thought about that a little bit more, and I have a better way I want to phrase that.
Okay.
So when you harp on something that you did 6 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, I'm such a failure, I'm a piece of shit, everybody hates me. Nobody is thinking about that instance from 6 years ago except for you.
Right.
Because you lived it. So holding on to past traumas of this happened to me, it's never going to get any better, that's getting comfortable in your own trauma because you're worried about the outside perception of how you're living your life instead of just bettering your life for you.
It's also creating your own victim mentality. Mm-hmm. Like it's a choice. You're choosing to live that way. That also falls into the forgiveness thing.
Right.
You know, if somebody does you dirty 6 years from now, they don't care about how they did you dirty. They don't think about that shit. You do. Mm-hmm. So you having that resentment or bitterness or hatred towards them over what happened, that's a you problem.
It's only affecting you. They don't care.
Right. So I had a couple of realizations while driving the other day. The first one is that we are not a communication or relationship podcast. We are a personal development podcast.
Okay.
I don't want to just be communication and relationship. Though I believe a lot of things can come down to communication. That's a very strong thing in life, and the better communicator you are, the better your life is going to be. But we don't want to just do relationship shit. Like we helped Death Clan with his boss. We've helped people with their kids. Like it's not just a relationship thing. It is very much a communication and personal growth, personal
people
development.
Opening their own businesses.
Right. And I want to be seen as somebody that's helping people with their personal development, not so much just in their relationships. So that was the first thing.
Okay. I agree with that.
So another thing, I really got to get better at taking my notes, but when I'm driving, I can't sit down and type out all my shit. I have to thumb it and hope that I can remember. I wrote caring what people think. And the reason that I put that down there is because there are a lot of people out there who are like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. Like, I just don't care. It is what it is. If you are a business-oriented entrepreneur person and you want to be successful in life, you have to care what people think about you because it's your brand. You are your brand. And if you're
selling yourself,
if you're a scumbag, your brand is not going to thrive. If you're a bigot, your brand is not going to thrive. If you have societal shortcomings, your brand is not going to survive. You have to take an accountability in that and like know that this also falls under self-esteem, but you have to take accountability in who you are and know that you are going to have to answer to somebody at some point for your actions. And going around going, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, is going to hurt you in the long run if you are trying to become successful. Because the way people view you and what people think fucking matters for your brand. Right? Like if people didn't like what we were doing,
we wouldn't have
and we were like, fuck all of you and middle fingering the entire thing, why would people follow us? People follow us because they get an enjoyment from watching us. They find a relationship to us, and there's a camaraderie in the community that we've created on Patreon and Discord and now on YouTube and TikTok especially. But that growth is because of us as a brand, right? And that kind of got delved into a little bit in Discord the other day because it was brought to my attention that there was somebody who was previously in Discord that was making themselves seem like they were a part of this who weren't. And I had to leave a message for the moderators explaining that you and I are to be better. AJ is a directive marketing agent that works for us on YouTube, and he has a YouTube platform that is part of To Be Better. That's his job. We have Jennifer that screens emails, and then we have the moderators in Discord that moderate Discord. But when it comes down to it, there is no one else involved in this except for us. AJ is technically an employee. Jen is just helping us, and the moderators are just helping us. So as people come and go, if they try to make themselves seem like they're more than they are, the people in Discord now have to pay attention to that shit. And all that got brought up because I realized that if somebody is representing us and they start doing dirty shit, like it's going to affect you and I. And that falls under that, we need to care what people think about us, and also under the accountability thing. The other thing was seeking counsel instead of validation. We get so caught up in trying to have people validate our thoughts and our emotions and our current feeling in things. And that's not what we do. We hold people's feet to the flames. We hold them accountable. And they come to us because they want advice and counsel. So knowing that we are not here to validate people, knowing that we are here to give counsel like a mentor should, when people send us emails and we give them a reply, if they don't like the reply, that's a them problem.
Right.
They know what we do coming into this. And I think that's why we get so many emails, because of the genuine counsel that we're giving people. And when you seek validation and you just want a yes man, there's no room for growth there. You're not going to ever become better because you have everybody in the chamber echoing your thoughts.
Right.
So now everybody has the exact same thought pattern. There's no dialogue or discussion or, hey, you're really fucking up and this is how you could be better. Everybody just sits stagnant. And I think that also falls into the personal development thing that we're doing. And I think that moving forward, I don't want to validate people anymore. If people are coming to me because they want my opinion, in real life especially, I think I'm going to ask them, are you looking for validation? Are you looking for counsel? Because I can mentor you if I feel the need to do that. But if you're coming to me just because you need a yes man or validation, I really don't have that in me. And I realize that we have a lot of people in our lives, in our personal lives. Dude was flying. We have a lot of people in our personal lives that we don't really interact with anymore. And I think that the reason I've stopped interacting with so many of them is because of that validation mindset. People need to feel coddled, and I don't have it in me for that. Like, I think that's such a weak mindset that it kind of makes me want to be standoffish. Like, I don't want to be around people who have that fragile, I need to be loved, love me, recognize me. Like, I don't want that. I want people who are confident, standing on their own 2 feet, looking forward, trying to find resolution to their issues and moving forward and trying to find growth. And life has changed so much in 4 months.
It really has.
Which is why those notes came about, because I've been reflecting more and more about the last 4 months and trying to figure out where we're going in the future. And the hopium thing is very real for me right now. I have so many expectations for what this is going to do because of everything that everyone has said. And there was a kick in the balls with the t-shirts because I ordered 320 shirts thinking that they would sell out in an hour. And it's been 3 days and we've had 78 orders. So we still have half of the t-shirt run sitting there. And I think that I overshot my order because I expected the people overseas to be able to order, but just shipping from the US to Canada priority mail is $35, $38.99 or something like that. So we actually lost on the 3 shirts that we sent to Canada before I pulled that off there. We lost money on those, which is fine. It's 3 t-shirts. It's not that big of a deal, but if I would have been shipping all over the world, we would have been basically giving those t-shirts away for free. Or at a cost to us. So, I looked into Redbubble and trying to find other things of that nature, but I think until this gets bigger, if we do shirt runs, it's going to be like 150 shirt minimum or maximum. Yeah. I want limited because I don't want the shit just sitting around here. I don't want to be sitting on stuff. But that kick in the balls over the t-shirt thing made me realize that as big as we're growing and as much as people say, yes, we love you guys, we'll watch what you're doing, we support you, we're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, doing da-da-da-da-da-da, eventually those people may fall off and we have to find new people to engage with. And that's where the beauty of the emails come in, because people are reaching out to us and then they're listening to the podcast, waiting for their email to be read. The problem with that is a lot of those emails are bullshit. They're full of SA, DV. Some of them are just really
irredeemable. Yeah.
And like, I don't want to get into those. I don't want to read emails where we can't help people. And if somebody sends us an email and it's like, I'm afraid of my husband, leave. Like if you are not safe, that's the answer. I'm not telling anyone anything other than leave in those situations.
And if you don't have the strength to leave, that's
right.
Then can't give it to you.
Right. And I can't give you an answer to change that because you can't change someone else. You can only change you and hope that they recognize that. And sometimes you end up with shitty people, and that falls under the thing that you read with the thought of someone versus who they really are. I don't know. I like the idea of knowing that we're doing the personal development thing. And like, I really want to do a men's group. We put the fillers out in Discord and didn't even get 10 people. And I don't know if it was the price. I don't know if it's that they just don't see the value in it, or that Discord is a lot of women and not necessarily like a balance. I don't know. I have ideas of grandeurs, and I really want this to do a thing. Like, I would love for this to get big. And I know you want to do seminars one day and all of that. And like, I would love to get to that point. And at 4 months in, we have almost 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm like 760,000 on TikTok. You're almost to 450. Like, we're really trying to grow this thing, and it's moving. So where is that going to put us in a year? You know what I mean? If we're at 1 million subs in a year and people are actively utilizing our YouTube and doing that stuff, seminars are not realistically out of the question. Like, we could do meet and greets and do like limited engagement events where we rent out a room at like a conference center. You know what I mean? And go sit down. What was that look for?
Somebody who just followed me on TikTok
Oh.
who has like 3 million followers.
Oh, wow. But it would not be unrealistic if we were able to sell tickets to do seminars and did like 100 people or 50 people or 25 people. You know what I mean? And just manage to make enough money to cover the room at the hotel to do the conference and do, you know, small personal seminars. But in doing that, like, I would rather have, I don't know, there's so much. It's just so much. I have so many ideas of things that I want to do. And because this is starting to move, it's given me hope that I can do those things. But with that hope comes a fucking huge fear of failure.
Yeah.
And like, every month that we get a little bit more growth, last month was the biggest growth that we've had. It was huge. And if we do that again, or we double that, and I allow myself to get a little bit more hope, and then this all comes crashing down, like, I don't know how I would handle that kind of failure or loss. And that's a very real thing for me. And that's part of the stress that I've been having. Cause you notice that I've been super stressed out recently because I'm giving this everything I have, and it's not in my control. It's not a local business where people are coming in and I can market and sell and they're meeting me in person. It's all an online thing. And it's based off algorithms and what the companies that we market through allow our potential viewers to see.
Right.
So like, when we post a TikTok and it gets 1 million views, super. But when we post one and it gets 2,000, which happens,
Yeah, I posted one an hour ago. It's at 1,000 views.
there's no reason for that. That's insane that we're getting such small engagement when we have so many followers.
Right. Yesterday, I posted something within 45 minutes. It had 12,000 views.
Yeah, I posted something this morning and it's almost to 100,000 views already.
That's crazy.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And like, I know timing. So if I post before 7 or before 8 a.m., I get a pretty decent viewing. If I post between 10 and 11, I get a pretty decent viewing. And like, there are some things that get a lot of views and some things that just don't. Like, the flirt videos do okay. They don't get like tons of views, you know, maybe 100,000. But like, with the amount of followers that I have, you would think that everyone would see my videos.
Yeah.
I realize that that's obviously not the case. I also know that I don't engage on TikTok. Like, I will heart react and I'll leave comments, but I'm not scrolling my FYP.
Right.
I should, because I get most of my news from TikTok, which allows me to get on to duckduckgo.com and actually search shit to find out what's really going on in the world. But I don't want to. TikTok is depressing.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
It
definitely.
fucks with my mental health. And I realize the more I scroll TikTok, the worse I feel about myself.
Yeah.
So I, you know, even with the Christian content, and like, I do get good content on there, but every 4 or 5 videos, there's something horrible on there that I don't want to see. Like, and I guess maybe that makes me an ostrich and I'm sticking my head in the sand and trying to avoid what's going on in the world. But like, I see this Fed app thing coming, Fed Now, and it makes me really seriously worried about what's going on with our currency. If we lose the dollar and we go digital currency, I don't think people realize how fucked we are as a country.
Right.
They will be tracking to the penny everything that we do. And if you do something that they don't like, they can freeze your fucking bank accounts. The government would have full control over your finances with a push of a button. You won't be able to buy shit. Like, there's real fear in that. And most people don't even know what's going on. And if we lose TikTok, then they'll be able to control what people see and what they don't see. So things like that are happening would never get known. We wouldn't know about it on Facebook or Instagram because they already tell Facebook and Instagram what to moderate. We saw it through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Twitter's the same thing, you know, unless you're extremely liberal or into kitty stuff on Twitter, you're getting banned. And like, they suppress it. I know Elon bought Twitter and that's supposed to have fixed things, but they had something going on recently over a day of violence. And I got to be very careful how I say that because it's going on YouTube. But they had that thing about the day of violence and people who were posting it saying that this is not okay. We're getting their accounts banned. Yeah.
Wow.
Some of them were politicians. Blows my fucking mind. Like, there's not a freedom at all
There
when
really
it comes to our
isn't.
speech on the internet. Anyways, I really don't want to fucking go down that tirade.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to our following and you being worried about this just one day not doing anything because of less interaction, when it comes to the internet and the content that we post, not only are we logical people, we say shit that triggers people.
Right.
Both of those things are going to get us shared.
Yeah, that's true.
Both of those people interacting on our posts are going to boost us in the algorithm. I will not be surprised if we hit 1 million like Pearly Things or what is her name? Brett Cooper.
Yes. She's entertaining to me.
I enjoy her content so much. She hit 1 million followers within a year.
Yeah. That's insane.
Right. And I honestly think we're on track for that. If we double what we did last month, we're going to gain almost 100,000 followers in a month. So if we did that and then doubled it, that's 60,000 followers.
That's insane. I mean, that would put us at almost 100,000. I don't know. I don't, I monitor the growth of all of this, and AJ has charts. So he's monitoring way harder than I am, and I'm going off memory.
Right.
But I see days where we get like 12 or 1,300 subscribers and days where we get 3. And those days where we get 3, I'm like, oh God, what are we doing wrong? Like, what's the algorithm doing? What are we not hashtagging properly? Is our content slipping? Are people getting tired of hearing the same shit? Like, do we need to switch things up? What are we doing? And the next day we have a decent day again. It's no different than business. When I see our finances dip because we have a bad day at the shop, I panic. Oh God, what's happening? Because if that happens over and over and over again, I'm seeing a trend and I need to fucking adjust something. I don't want to get stagnant with this. Like I do want it to grow, and I want to keep reading the books. That's why we're doing the love languages and then the love apologies and constantly doing that content. I also realize that there are people who are doing the super chats in the live streams, not necessarily in the premieres, although we do get them in the premieres too, but in the live streams, we get a lot of super chats. Those super chats make up 20 to 30% of the revenue that we make on YouTube. So they're huge for us. And when we tell people thank you, like we fucking mean that.
Yeah.
But I also know that at some point, those super chats, the people who donate a lot like that are going to stop. And we, hopefully new people take up that slack and start doing the super chats to make this thing grow. I don't know. The internet's just wild to me. And because this is so new, we're 4 months in. Like we're still very much wet behind the ears. Like, it's a lot to try to figure out, and having AJ helps. I really I keep saying I wish he would move here, but now we're looking to move to Tennessee. If we stayed here, having him here would be super dope. And if we moved to Tennessee and he had to move again like that, it's not fair to him. You know what I mean? So like, there's a whole lot of shit that goes into that too. And I haven't even met him in person yet. He'll be here tonight. You guys will see this later. He'll be here tomorrow night for the live stream, actually in the house. And I may set up another microphone just so that he's got one, so that if he wants to chime in, I can just unmute and he can say thing, or maybe read super chats, or be like, hey guys, we got a super chat, so I don't have to look at my phone the entire time.
Yeah. That would be dope.
But he can obviously use Stream Deck and shit like that. And if he was here doing our live streams, would be a lot easier in terms of the setup, because he could operate the computer. We can set up a monitor on the table that just faces us, and we can look at the monitor when we need to. I could literally just put that TV on the table and run an HDMI cable to it. It'd be super easy to do. Doing this as a 2-man thing, the way that we're doing it right now, looks real nice, but there's no one behind the scenes.
Right.
We're lucky with the way that we run things. And I have this monitor over here so I can see OBS and make sure that we are in focus and all that shit. And sometimes that misses. I watched episode 5 of the side piece, and you're out of focus for like the first 15 minutes of it. And you put your iPad up, and when you put your iPad down, the camera focused on you. I was like, oh, thank God. Because otherwise I would have had to scrap the entire thing.
Right.
Because you're out of focus. You were blurry. You weren't like out of focus. You just missed. If your hand gets in front of your face, or the iPad comes up, or your microphone gets moved and the camera doesn't recognize your face directly, it searches and tries to find you. And if it misses, it misses. I can't fix that.
Right.
I don't know. This shit's wild to me. And
Me too.
I'm so grateful for the fact that people want to watch this. Like it is literally changing our lives just as much as it's changing others. But there's a very real fear behind it. If we start basing our life off of the extra income that we make and try to do like an extra podcast room, or if we bought a new car, or if we did like homeschooling, or we did anything that would be dependent on this financially, and this fails, that it's a concern. It's like that with any business. It really is. But I don't know. This last month we made enough money that we can call this a job.
Yeah.
And we're there, which is fucking dope. Now we want to start being We want to thrive. And like, I see people like Peter McKinnon who hit 1 million in a year and his channel's got like 5 million people on it. And I'm a super fan. So, and then there's people like Andy Frisella, again, super fan. Rob Bailey, super fan. I would love to meet these people. And if we ever get to the point where we have 2 and 3 million subscribers, I could reach out and be like, yo, you guys want to collaborate? Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But the opportunity to even meet them would be more realistic for me. And though I don't think they would gain any value from meeting us, I would get a ton of value from meeting them, because there's things that I could ask them that in passing is just normal knowledge to them,
Right.
that would greatly benefit my life. And I realized that the other day when I was making those notes in the car. And then I realized that there are a lot of people who are joining Discord and Patreon and becoming a part of our community to get the information that I have that's just passing knowledge, because I've done so much in my life that like I can help people. And that comes into the personal development thing. And it also made me reevaluate the coaching thing. I don't have the time to do life coaching, but like, I think it would be dope to be able to mentor people. Like, truly think it would be fucking dope, because when people like Death's Clan's like, hey, I got a fucking raise because of the advice you gave me and talking to my bosses. Like, I mean, you got the raise because you're good at your job. I just gave you people skills that you didn't have already. It makes me feel good knowing that I was able to lead like that. You know what I mean? And I know that if I could meet some of these other people that I've looked up to, that common knowledge for them would be huge for me, because I don't have it yet. It's a lot to think about.
It really is a lot to think about.
Do you have people that you fangirl over that you would like to really meet in person and have those conversations with? No?
Not
Really?
particularly.
Wow. You fangirled pretty hard over Pearly when she liked your and followed you.
Yeah, she did. I thought about that too, because you've said that before. Like, you had people that you would really love to meet, you could gain knowledge from. I don't feel like I can gain knowledge from Pearly things.
No.
I think it was more of just somebody who has a massive following recognized me also gaining a massive following. I think that was a big moment for me, because she has millions of subscribers.
Yeah, you're getting recognized.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I think for me, like, so Peter McKinnon, I would get photography knowledge. He has 5.5 million people on YouTube. Like, he made 1 million. He was one of the first that like did 1 million in a short amount of time. His channel blew the fuck up. He made 55 cents. His first 55 cents he made on YouTube, he quit his job. This is for real. Like, he was like, oh shit, I made 55 cents. If I can make 55 cents, I can make him enough money to pay my bills. And he fucking quit his job. And he dedicated his entire thing to his channel and his photography, and he blew the fuck up. That kind of like belief in self is insane.
Right.
And the fact that his wife supported him and he was just willing to do it and he did it, I respect the fuck out of that. Like, that's huge to me. And then there's people like Rob Bailey, who's been in business just as long as I have, who blew me out of the water in terms of finances. His clothing company, Flag Nor Fail, is huge. And him and Dana are making a ton of money. They got Airbnbs. Like, he's just constantly on the grind doing what he's doing. And there are things that, like, he brought his brother into business. And when he brought his brother into his business, it like doubled his money or tripled his income in the first year. And I noticed that me bringing Nicole in as a manager of the shop let me step away to do other things. And it allowed me to triple my income with other studios. Those are no longer a thing because of the hurricane. And I could reopen them, but I've put everyone in one building now and they're all happy where they are. They don't want to move. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I want to open a t-shirt printing company, not to make custom clothing, but to make for businesses, do embroidery, screen printing, like paper printing, signs, that kind of shit. There's a lot of money for that in the area that we're in. And I know that because I see the amount of companies that are started super small that blew the fuck up here because we're growing. And the bigger the town gets, the longer you've been in business, the more money you're going to make. And I have people that are in place that want to move down here and do those things with me, but it's a matter of the logistics of all of it. So knowing that Rob was able to bring his brother on and do the things that he's doing financially, I look up to that. And Andy Frisella has been in business for 30 years, and he owns one of the most successful supplement companies on the planet. He's got a really big podcast. He's an author. He's written books, children's books. Like, dude bought Ulysses S. Grant's house.
Holy shit.
Right. Like, and he lives in it. He fucking lives in it.
Wow.
I don't know. There are people that I look up to. I respect hardworking individuals and people who don't have a work-life balance, because that's how you get to that level of success. You have to put it all on the fucking line and go for it. Peter McKinnon, Rob, I mean, they all did it. Andy Frisella, he said that the first 10 years that he was in business, he made less than $60,000 in 10 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And he's a multimillionaire now.
Yeah.
Like lots of M's. Dude's got a massive car collection. Like he's fucking doing a thing. His facility where they sell First Form has a fucking gym in it that rivals commercial gyms.
Wow.
Dude is fucking new. It's got a barber shop in it. Like, that's insane to me.
It is wild.
I admire that shit. And they say you should never try to meet your idols. And I don't idolize these people. I don't. I respect what they fucking did. And I want the knowledge that they have because they have something that I don't have.
Yeah.
Even if, like, none of them can give me advice on the tattoo industry. I know that industry. But they've all done the internet thing. They've all done clothing. They've all done their specialty. And something that they tell me could carry over to everything that I'm doing, and it could improve my life.
Right.
And it could be a simple conversation that could happen in 10 minutes that they wouldn't even know they were giving me. I don't know.
Well, I thought about it.
Okay.
I would talk to Jordan B. Peterson.
Oh, love that.
And then, I don't know if you've heard of her, but her name on TikTok is Teal Swan. So she talks a lot about like the human psyche and pretty much what we do.
What's her follower at? Her fan base
She
at?
is at, just on TikTok, 780,000. So roughly the same amount as you.
Yeah.
She does seminars and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if she has a YouTube. I'm assuming.
I don't know how I would do meeting Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, because I know that he gets annoyed with stupid shit. And I know how big his IQ is. And I'm afraid that everything I say to him is going to sound stupid.
Yeah.
And I don't want to embarrass myself in front of people that I respect. I don't know if I could handle that embarrassment. You know what I mean? Like I would lay awake for that for months. I can't believe I said that to him.
Yeah.
He would never think about it again. He'd be like, you're a
Right.
fucking moron. But I would lay awake over it. I would lose sleep over some stupid shit. And I know that because I've done it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe I said that to my teacher in 6th grade. That was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's dumb.
I have moments like that where like I say something or like I have an awkward interaction because I'm poor with people sometimes and I just embarrass the shit out of myself. I walk out of the store and be like, wow, that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I don't think about it again because I can't change it.
I don't think I think about it constantly.
That
I still
sucks.
think about that. I hope your day, you were so pleasant. Thank you for being pleasant as I walked out of the fucking
You
the
probably
tax
made her
place.
day though.
Probably. But I walked out and was like, I can't fucking believe I said that. Who says that to
Huh.
people? Could have been just like, thanks, have a good day, and walked out. Instead, I had to yell, thank you
Yeah.
for being pleasant across the fucking tax building as I was walking to my car.
Wow.
I had to seem like I had some screws loose up there. Or like the light bulb in my brain was flickering. Like the connection was not quite there. Cheese slid off the cracker.
Yeah. I was super stoned in PetSmart the other day and I pulled the guy aside because I didn't have the super worms. So I was like, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what else to give them because I don't want to fuck up their digestive. And he was like, well, you can give them these worms. And he was like, well, what kind? Are you the bearded dragons? I was like, they're gecko leopards.
Leopard geckos.
And he looked at me and he was like, leopard geckos? And I was like, yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm caring for these animals and I can't even fucking tell you what they are.
Yeah. But you know their names. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So I've thought about that Jordan B. Peterson thing too. I was like, I am fully aware that if I meet anybody of high standing, they probably will not like me. And I've accepted that.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that I would not be combative in conversation with them and just really picking their brain, they would be less inclined to be like, okay, she's a dumb bitch. More of just, she's
Maybe.
trying. And Teal Swan on YouTube has 1.5 million subscribers. Yeah.
Okay.
If she follows me, I might lose my mind.
Should
Should what?
I don't know, duet one of her videos.
I don't know. That makes me nervous.
She may see it. I don't know, but I don't know because the amount of notifications that I get on TikTok, I probably see 3 or 4% of my actual notifications because I log in and this is 99 plus. I'm not digging through that.
Oh yeah, I don't do that either.
If I see it, if it happens to be within the first 4 or 5 things when I open the app, I see it. Or if it's a new video and there's only 1,000 views and 80 comments, I'll quickly scroll through those comments and see if there's anything worth interacting with.
Yeah.
But after the first 2 hours of that, I'm not seeing those videos. I'm not going back and looking at that. I have too much shit going on to sit here and scroll TikTok.
Right.
And people tag us and shit every once in a while. I hit the mentions just to see if somebody stitched or duetted. I've been checking sounds now because I want one of my sounds to go viral.
Yeah. I don't check any of that shit
But
anymore.
I don't care if it does or it doesn't. So like the sound thing is when I'm thinking about it, which isn't often. But I will go to a video and hit the sounds button just to see if there's a bunch on there or not, and then I'll go through and look. It's normally just duets that I don't care. Like
Yeah.
if somebody's using my sound over top of their shit, like the damn thing that I did, I was really hoping that did a lot. There was like 6 on there the last time I looked at it, but
Yeah.
actually it might have been less than that. I don't know. Anyways, you'll have to send me some of that lady's content so that I can look and see. You have sent me some of her content?
So the last one I sent you from her was she was talking about you can't be a career woman and a good mom at the same time.
I watched that video.
Yeah.
I don't remember people's names.
So somebody asked her because she has children and she has her career. She was like, so what was your decision? And she was like, I stopped having kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yep. She's very much a career woman.
Yes. I enjoy her content.
I like the honesty of it.
Yeah.
You know how easy it would be for her? Well, you can do both and blah, 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 blah. No, you can't. Like, and people who have high levels of success will be honest about that shit. Mm-hmm. There's a new patron.
All right. You want to plug it?
Nope.
Okay.
You can.
I don't have the energy to.
Oh, no. Denied.
So.
All right. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, our Patreon is a community that we have created that gives you access to early content, live streams 4 times a month on Sunday nights if you're on the VIP tier, and a Discord. There's 4 tiers: $5, $10, $15, and $20. $5 is just a tip. It's a thank you. $10 gets you early content. $15 gets you the previous 2 tiers and the live streams and the Discord. The $20 tier gets you the previous 2 and an extra Discord link so that your partner or your friends can come into our Discord and you guys can chop it up with everyone there. Mm-hmm. We have created a hell of a community over there. The Discord is insane. Mm-hmm. We have lots of moderators over there that keep everything very friendly and organized. And the live streams are a lot of fun. They're just Q&As where we sit down and bullshit. There's really never a theme to those.
Yeah.
And we are active in the Discord.
We are pretty active.
And we're not there for self-help and shit. Like, that's not what Discord is. It's a community where we can all just hang out and be.
You guys are seeing me for who I really am in that Discord.
Yeah. So
I'm also getting ready to start streaming Minecraft in there once a week.
Are you gonna do the women's group?
I think I'm going to, yeah.
Yeah. Have you started like laying out the thoughts on that? And
I
have you priced it?
The pricing is what I'm really struggling with because I'm seriously considering doing 3 sessions of cardio.
So we're gonna have to move the treadmill then.
Right.
It would be.
I would be doing it outside.
Okay.
Like going for a walk.
You have to be careful where you go because if you're going to be live chatting those people or Zoom calling, our internet's trash.
You don't think it can work on the cellular?
I don't know. The T-Mobile in this neighborhood, maybe you could take the Android phone that's on the Verizon network that we have and
do that.
Go near the shop because it's right next to the tower.
Okay.
But if you were to do it here on the house on the Wi-Fi on the 5G, we could just put the treadmill in the living room, put the iPad up, and you could do it on the iPad.
So I want to do that. It would be 3 nights a week, or because I'm not willing to give up our morning cardio sessions.
I would appreciate you not doing that.
So it would be evening cardio sessions for 30 minutes, and that's going to be part of the women's group. So you're going to be paying for that, and whether or not you do it, that's up to you, but it's going to be included in the price of the women's group. I want to do meal prepping. So I'm going to have to learn everybody's household's dietary, whatever, allergies.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should go that far into that. I don't think that you, because I've written diets, like as a trainer, I don't think that you realize how much time is going to go into all of that. I think that you should just write the plans, and if people have allergies, they can message you, and you can just be like, substitute that with this and leave it at that. That's going to be a lot easier.
But still, I'm going to have to, I'm still learning everybody's shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to keep in mind, all right, their child has a peanut allergy. So when I post this, I'm going to have to post an alternate for...
Right.
There's a lot going into it. Time management, I have to figure out how to help lay that out for everybody to adapt to. People are going to ask me specifics. Everybody's situation is different. How many people I want to do. If I'm going to be doing it for $80 a month, I can't justify doing less than 20 people because I'm not willing to make $10,000 a year from putting this kind of work.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's a lot.
It's really a lot.
It is a lot to like weigh and think about. Yeah. And if you do a limited number of slots, it'll go.
Right.
And realistically, $100 if you're doing live streams, if you're doing the Zoom calls as a group once a week, $100 is more than fair.
Yeah.
Because that's going to take out 3 hours of your week on top of everything else that you're doing with that group. I think that's reasonable. When you look at $100 a month, I think that's fair.
I think so too.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. Last time I checked, I think there were 70 women interested in the group.
Now you got to post that thing again with the cost
Yeah.
and see if that narrows it down, because I'm willing to bet that if you put it at $100, you're going to fall off at least half.
I would say over half.
But if you put $100 on there, the people who are serious about personal growth and doing those things, if they can afford it, they're not going to slack.
Right.
And that's the hard thing for me with all of this, is that I don't want to set an outrageous price. I want it to be reasonable, but enough that people aren't going to come in there and not fucking do the work.
Right.
So
I also want to do at-home workouts. If you're going to join the women's group, you're going to work out.
yeah.
I'm not going to have you join the women's group and it's just going to be, well, I want to focus on communication. Well, your mental health correlates with how you communicate.
Absolutely.
If you're continuously anxious, you're not going to be able to articulate yourself in a way that your partner doesn't feel attacked.
You know, if you did that and you actually did the workout thing and you wanted to do workouts and cardio, we could buy those TRX straps. It's $130. And we can hook them up in the gym and you can do workouts on the TRX straps and all of you could do those workouts together.
Don't we already have some out there?
No.
Oh, those are bands.
Those are bands, yeah.
Okay.
But you can put those in a door frame.
Yeah.
So you can literally put those anywhere in our gym and do full bodies. Those TRX straps are no joke. Like, even when I was powerlifting, I would use those TRX straps because some of the body leverage shit is more gymnastics.
Right.
It's fucking brutal when you do them in certain movements. Like, it's crazy when you think about it. It's literally a $130 workout system, but you can work out anywhere with them.
Right.
If I traveled a lot, like if I was a salesman or if I had to do like weekly travel things, I would keep them in my backpack and just work out with them in a hotel room. They're legit.
Yeah.
But they're $130. Once you have them, you own them. There's no gym membership involved at that point. It's literally there.
Right.
And that's the beauty of those groups, is if you have that, other people are going to be accountable to everyone else in the group. So it's not just a you thing.
Right.
Oh, big yawn.
Dude, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
I'm nauseous. I'm hungry, but I'm scared to eat. I have to figure out dinner and I don't want to cook anything. I really want pizza. We're supposed to be eating right.
Yep.
My brain hurts.
That's because our daughter coughed in your face yesterday with her little fever.
Little shit.
She looked right at you and was
She
like,
really-
"Ah!"
she
And I was like, well, you're getting sick. No
Yeah.
chill.
I looked at her and I was like, that's disgusting. I can't believe you just did that.
Yeah. And then you woke up this morning feeling like shit.
Like, how disrespectful. I said that to her. Like, how disrespectful. Sorry, mommy. No, I'm tired of telling you to cover your mouth when you cough. I've said it 40 million times in one day. You should know. Be better.
Your glasses look good with your hair.
Yeah.
Everyone, she's got new glasses.
I do.
There's no chain on them, though.
No, they're in my purse, and my purse is in my car. And I don't have the energy. I'm such a princess when I'm sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expect you to carry me out of this room when we're done.
I'm not getting sick.
You can piggyback me.
I'll go get you a blanket. You can just stay in here. I'll bring you one of those big round chairs so you can just stand up and fall onto the big round chair. I'll even move the table.
Okay.
But I want you to keep your distance for the next couple takes.
Okay. I understand.
Every time somebody sends me messages on Patreon, I always tell them to send an email. And I've made posts on Patreon. Do not send me your long drawn out conversations because of the amount of fucking places that people are sending us messages. It will get ignored. And we just got a 2-part message on Patreon about somebody's life problems.
Just leave them on red.
Not the fucking platform for that.
Just leave them on red.
If
I wouldn't even respond.
If the Patreon app worked like the Patreon browser did, I wouldn't have to do that. The Patreon app is fucking trash. It doesn't pin post. There's no search tags. Like it's garbage. It's garbage. And I always tell people you need to get off of the Patreon app and go to Patreon from a browser so that you can see the full thing of everything that's going on and you can find all the information that you need. It's all on there. Our book list, our check-in lists, like the actual Q&A PDFs are on there. Like there's a lot of information on Patreon, but you got to see it from a browser. So I have to reply to those people like, hey, send it in an email, because if they're using the app, they're not seeing all the posts that I've made because they get buried. Whereas the ones who are new to the app or to the website, if they use the website, can see the pinned post that talks about all that. Let's get into some emails. We're an hour.
Okay, before we get into the emails, if this is going to bother you, I need you to tell me.
Okay.
I really want to eat like garbage tonight to make myself feel better. So would you be okay if I made you chicken and I ate pizza?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm responsible for what I ingest.
Right. I don't want you to feel like I'm abandoning you or anything.
Nope.
I really could just use comfort food. Okay.
I want to move away from eating everything but meats. I full carnivore. Like I'm really contemplating even cutting the carbs and the berries out of my protein shake.
Wow.
I think that from everything that I've read, it's going to clear my skin up.
Mm-hmm.
It will help me lose body fat because every time I diet, I just cut all my carbs and fats out and just eat proteins, and I lose weight super fast. I lost 80 pounds in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But my only carb source has always been oats in my protein shake because it helps create an insulin spike and move. Anyways, we may end up going to Prime tomorrow. I don't know what AJ is doing yet because I don't know when he's here.
Okay, so after today, whatever happens, I'm going to start eating. I mean, I'm still going to have like other sides and shit. I'm not just going to eat meat.
Right.
But I'll start eating healthier too. I need to. I don't like the way my face looks. My stomach's pretty okay.
Your body's banging.
Yeah.
And your face doesn't look bad. I know that you think it does.
I know.
Because every time you see yourself on on the camera, you're like, my face is so fat.
It is.
It's just more round than it was when you were thinner. But you're not fat. Like your body, you're healthy. I'm telling. I look at you every day.
I know. I appreciate you saying that because the mental illnesses are telling me I'm not healthy. Emails called Good Intentions Ends in Disaster, like me reading this email. Hey guys, love your content and wanted to hear what you have to say about this certain subject. My partner and I have been in a relationship for about 2.5 years now, and a constant theme that has shown up for us is conflict surrounding my emotions.
2.5 years?
2.5 years. I'm what some might call sensitive or over emotional. The problem I'm looking to resolve or find answers to is, am I being too emotional? Am I creating the problems, or is what I'm saying valid? So I want to address her saying I'm what some might call sensitive or over emotional. I cry a lot. A lot. I cry on camera constantly, and I just keep talking to you. Me crying is my body's reaction to things. I can't control myself crying, and I hate it. But I've just accepted that's who I am as a person. And some people would say that's too sensitive or I'm over emotional because I will cry and continue talking.
Right.
In my mind, that's healthy. The fact that I can sit here and cry to you and still carry on a conversation and resolve things or whatever the discussion is and process my shit, that's healthy to me. When I hear sensitive or over emotional, that's someone who's like in a constantly anxious state and you can't take constructive criticism. Or you start crying, and because you're crying, it has to be paused and you have to be consoled.
Yeah. The sensitive, the way that I took that and the way that you took that is very different.
Yeah. How did you take that?
You need to put some fucking dirt on it. Let's go. But that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your emotional state and sensitivity, in my opinion, is not the way that I took that. Mm-hmm. You being a crier, you're just a crier.
Right.
But if you get emotional and you act out on those emotions, here's a thought, right? This is not relevant, but it's relevant. If I was an angry person, and I'm passionate. I've said that over and over and over again. It takes a lot to actually make me mad. If I got angry and I punched holes in the wall, I'm not punching holes in the wall as anger. I'm punching holes in the wall as a emotional reaction to things, right? That's me acting out because I don't know how to properly display what's going on. Mm-hmm. So instead I punch holes in the wall and try to get attention and try to voice my frustrations that way, right? So in that scenario, if you're overly emotional and sensitive and you are calling names, freaking the fuck out, crying, sobbing, flipping tables, being sensitive, I can't believe you didn't say thank you when I brought you your napkin, and start freaking the fuck out over it. It's a very different scenario than somebody who legitimately has a grievance and gets upset over it. So like there's a difference. And that's how I took that. If she believes she's being overly emotional and sensitive, how are you being overly emotional and sensitive?
Right.
Are you punching holes in the wall, crying, freaking out for no fucking reason, or are you just crying about it?
Right.
Because it's two different things. You can get angry and keep that shit in check. Figure out why you're angry and then talk about it.
Yeah.
Being angry is okay. You can be mad as a motherfucker, and it's very okay as long as you're not acting on that anger.
Right.
You process it. Figure out why you're angry. Anger is a good emotion. Any emotion that you feel is an alert system of some sort on how you need to deal with things.
Right. Me crying while having a conversation, there are some men who would say that's you're too sensitive or you're being over emotional. You need to stop crying.
Right.
I've had that happen. That's why I suppressed my crying during conversations and I just screamed in my car because nobody gave me a safe space to actually express how I process things.
Yeah, I do.
You do.
I would rather you tell me what's going on than suppress or hide,
Right.
because I can't fix what I don't know about. So, and like, I know that I make fun at inappropriate times. I did it this morning because I feel like can I talk about that? Do you
Yeah.
care? I have not said good morning to you in terms of actually saying good morning. I'll touch your feet. I'll talk to you in the morning. I'll give you a kiss, call you beautiful, whatever. Like, I've been trying to be flirty, but I haven't actually said good morning.
Right.
And you were like, why aren't you saying good morning to me? And I was like, do you need me to actually say that? Is what I'm doing not enough? And you were like, yes. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And that was the end of it for me. And you were still on it because you were expecting me to have some sort of conflict or defensiveness. And I started cracking jokes about it, just trying to be cute. And like, you were not about it. And when you were like, I just got super upset thinking you were going to get defensive. I'm like, babe, I'm not defensive. I'm only playing with you. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to make light of the situation. I love you. It's not a big deal for me to tell you good morning if that's what you need.
Yeah.
This morning, I came out of the bedroom and you were in the bathroom, in the kids' bathroom. And I walked out and the kids were asleep out in the living room, which blew my fucking mind because normally they're in their bed. And I was like, damn, they're all going through it. And I was like, are you in the bathroom? And you're like, yep. And I'm like, okay. And I walked in here. And I'm not going to go in the bathroom. Like, while you're going to the bathroom,
Right.
there's still things that are sacred to us that we don't need to experience each other doing. But if I would have just walked in there and be like, good morning, and kissed you while you were,
Right. I want to clarify that's not what I'm asking you to do.
that's where the joking came in, right? Because I could have made that really weird.
Right.
And because of my personality type, I could make that really fucking weird. And I would be okay with it. But I also don't think that that's an over emotional or sensitive scenario. I think that you were trauma response expecting me to blow the fuck up over you telling me that you actually want me to tell you the words good morning.
Yeah.
That's nothing in the grand scheme of things that could go wrong. So knowing mental checklist, I need to say good morning. I'm going to say good morning. So it's not a big deal. I just know that means more to you than me
Right.
touching your foot and calling you beautiful or
That
asking
falls
you how
into
you
my-
slept.
So I'm reading the love languages right now, and quality time, part of that is quality conversation.
Right.
And I recognized this morning after we had that conversation that you telling me good morning is part of that quality conversation for me.
Right. But you hold on to the phrase good morning and not how did you sleep? Like, you need that initial positive interaction.
Yeah.
I think differently than my brain does. I don't know how to word that, but do you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You need the conversation to initiate a certain way, whereas I get the same thing out of whether saying good morning or how did you sleep?
Right.
Like, or if you ask me how I slept, I'm going to take that the same way as good morning because you care about my existence. And I didn't realize it was a thing for you because our brains don't work the same way. And now that I know. So you hit you with a good morning and tickle your feet, smack your ass. I don't know. But there was a moment where you were expecting me to have a big blowout and
Yeah.
there was no reason for that. Like, and I think that I kind of correlated the fact that you would hold things in and cry and scream in your car versus actually
So-
talk about it because you expect people to have a blowout.
Well, the reason I expected that is because you've been having like your BPD going on. And the last few times I have come to you, you've interpreted it as an attack and you've gotten defensive.
About what?
I can't remember the instances, but there were 2 points within the last month or so.
I remember one of them, and it was it was definitely the timing. It was definitely the fucking timing because I was in the middle of a full blown situation.
For example, my partner and I are currently long distance. Yesterday evening, while talking on the phone, I called him and he was busy at the moment.
Pause for a minute. I'm sorry if my borderline reactions get defensive. That's not one of those things that I can control. And if I realize that it's happening in the moment, I will apologize for it immediately. But when I'm going through it, it's very hard for me to regulate that.
Right.
So knowing that you were afraid to talk to me this morning over something as simple as good morning kind of makes me feel like shit. And it's not a you thing, it's a me thing. And I know that's a me thing. It's something that I have to work on. But I don't want you to ever fear coming to me about things. And even if I get defensive and we have a back and forth about it and I'm kind of an asshole because I feel the need to defend myself, I'm still going to correct the problem. So I don't want you to stop coming to me about things that I'm doing wrong or that you're having a problem with. I need to know that it's happening or I can't correct it. So even if I do get defensive and there's a problem there and we work through the problem, it's worth it. I don't want you to not come to me about things.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I get defensive like that. I don't like that I do that.
I know.
Okay.
I know you don't do it on purpose. I love you.
I love you too. That's why I don't want you to ever fear coming to me about things. I know that my borderline gets out of hand. We both know. I've said it over and over and over again. Being with somebody with borderline is fucking hard. It sucks. It sucks just as much for you as it sucks for me having it. And in those moments, normally, I know that I'm going through it. And if I tell you I'm going through it, I think moving forward, like, you just need to give me a little bit of time to calm down before bringing something to me.
No, I've recognized. I'm just going to steer clear.
Right. You can't get on the roller coaster. And if I'm going through it and you bring something to me, you're getting on the roller coaster because now you're engaging me when I'm fucking spiraling.
Right. But the only reason I did that is because you've told me to not hold off.
Right. Because I don't want to think things are good and you be harboring something that was a pebble and now it's a giant fucking snowball because you've been holding it for a few days, and me think that everything is good, and then you come to me and it become a problem because it wasn't addressed when it was a pebble. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to get hit with a boulder.
Right. So I don't understand how to approach the situation then, because if I approach you in the moment, that's a problem.
Well, only when I'm in episodes.
Right. But you've told me, even if you're in an episode, to come to you about it because you don't want to deal with the afterfact of whatever it is.
Right.
You'd rather address it in the moment. But now we know that I have to steer clear and kind of give you your space. But if I bring it up 3 days later, are you going to be like...
Well, it doesn't have to be 3 days. Like,
what if you're in an episode for 3 days?
Then we just need to have it out. And like, I will try not to do those things. And you can tell me, like, hey, you're in an episode right now. I need you to not be defensive and say what you need to say, because it could logic brain me at least a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't want things to be like, I don't want to come out of an episode and think that life is good and then us have a problem and it throw me right back into an episode, because it happens. It doesn't take much to trigger that shit.
Right.
And I see it as weakness. I really fucking see that as a weakness because I can't control myself.
Right.
And I pride myself on discipline and like fighting urges and being a stoic person, but I can't control my mental illnesses. I can only try to logic brain and work through them as quickly as I can. Sometimes it's fucking quick. Sometimes it's really not.
Right.
Sometimes I can't even identify what the problem is, and that makes it a lot harder to work through what's going on. But I have to backpedal and then logic brain work my way back out of things. Sometimes it does take time.
Right.
I would rather you approach things, even if I'm having a moment, knowing that we may have a disruption, because I don't want things to go unresolved. I really believe that if you let things simmer and they go on for too long, they're a much bigger fucking problem than they are if you just address them when they happen.
Right.
Because, even the other night when I was going through my episode and we had our back and forth, it was fast. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. It was quick. It was 10, 15 minutes, maybe. If we would have waited until I came out of that and like 3 or 4 more things would have happened, you may have been bitter towards me or having a fuck you moment towards me. And when you tried to address all 4 of those things, it could have been a really big deal instead of just addressing those small things in the moment and having a 10-minute discomfort. I would much rather have that 10 minutes than a 3-hour ordeal or like a really big blow up. Like, we don't have big blow-ups.
Right.
Even in those moments, they are very insignificant in terms of like what normal people go through with their conflict.
Right.
I would rather have those quick things and apologize and have to apologize later than it become a really big fucking deal and us be at odds. It sucks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate it, because those moments are really triggering for me.
Yeah.
Because you don't speak to me that way. And when you do, it's hard.
Yeah.
So
the other night when we were actually having conflict and you hit me with that, like, whoa, wait a minute. We don't do that. It instantly reeled me the fuck back.
yeah.
So maybe that's the answer. If I do something, be like, whoa, wait, why did you go there? Maybe that might be enough. I don't know. A lot of this is still new. Like, because I am so much better than what I was.
Right.
Like, so much fucking better than what I was. So, that personal growth and development has helped me a lot, but I am still trying to find new roadmaps to get out of things. And we have found a lot of new things. Our conflict is super fucking short now, and it's not real conflict. It's just a disruption.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like, I know that I've said that we've had like 5 arguments. They're not. We've had one real blowout that was like a problem, and everything else has been minor disagreements and
It's just course
disruptions.
correcting.
Right. And I really truly view it that way. So when people are like, how do you guys deal with conflict? We don't really have it. We have minor disruptions where things need to be addressed and we figure it out real fucking quick and we move on. When people have arguments that last all day or 2 days or a week and like they're constantly at odds with their partners, I don't know what that's like. We don't do that. I think we've had one night where it actually transferred overnight into the next morning. And like, even then I don't see it as, I mean, I know that it was conflict, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Like, I don't know. I think that our relationship is super fucking healthy and even our disruptions are not that bad. So like, and because of our past, we both have had horrible fucking relationships. I compare what we go through with what I've previously gone through. And that comparison is insignificant as fuck. So even when I'm having a bad moment, I have to apologize, or we have a moment like we did this morning and I make a little joke about it. Like, I don't view any of this as I viewed previous situations. It's all been very minor.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's a me thing. I hope you feel the same way, but
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine that you don't, because we don't really go through
Right.
the shit that other people go through.
Yeah, I think about my past relationships and how arguments would last a week or two.
Yeah.
15 minutes is nothing.
Right.
So when it comes to your BPD and me having to bring something to you, if you are, say it's been 3 hours since something happened. If I come to you and I ask you, are you still in an episode? You're going to ask me why I'm asking you.
Right. Yes and no. And I'm only going by the other night because that was the most recent one and the most fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I was going through it and you immediately hit me with something. And like, when we had our discussion, my reaction was, I told you I was fucking going through it and I needed a minute. And what you brought to me looking back on it really wasn't a big deal. It really wasn't. Like, I shouldn't have reacted the way that I did, but I was fucking going through it in the moment. And I was mad and frustrated and going through a gambit of emotions and trying to work through my shit. And it was just the wrong fucking timing on the initial engagement.
You didn't tell me you needed a minute. You just said you were going through it.
Right.
If you would have said I need a minute, I would have left you the fuck alone.
Right. Well, now I know that. I figured me telling you that I was going through it would have been enough, but...
No, because you've told me even if you're going through it, you want me to come to you with things.
Right. It's hard to navigate.
It is.
I don't want you to feel like you can't come to me with things. And if I do get snappy and I'm going through it, then you just need to call me on being snappy, or like, there's no need for you to be defensive right now. I'm not attacking you. Those kind of like acknowledgments help. They do help. And after we had that conversation, after I came out of my episode, you flat out told me I wasn't attacking you. Like, it wasn't a reason for you to even be defensive. Mm. And I was, well, in the moment, I felt like I was being attacked and I felt the need to be defensive. So I got defensive. And you were like, I was just trying to understand what was going on. So in the event that I get defensive and start to respond that way, and that's not what's going on, and I'm reading the situation wrong, you can just tell me, like, I'm not coming at you that way. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. There's no reason to be defensive. It could de-escalate. I don't know. Until we go through these things now, we have to go through all of these possible scenarios until we find a situation that I'm able to respond to in the moment.
Right.
I don't know.
We'll get there.
Yeah. It just sucks knowing that we have to be in that position to get through it. It's not a normal conversation where you can say, this is what you did. This is how I felt. Moving forward, we need to do this. Because I can say that in theory as much as I want, but until I'm going through an episode and having to deal with my logic brain while an emotional brain thinking, I don't fucking know how I'm going to respond to things.
Right.
I do know that 99% of the time, if I'm going through it and somebody brings a problem to me, if I am involved in that problem, even if I'm not the problem, I'm going to feel the need to defend myself.
Right.
Because I am the problem. Like, in my mind, I'm a big piece of shit loser. Like, I'm fucking ruining everyone's lives. Why do I exist? Like, that's a very real thing for me. And that just, it compiles.
I get that.
I don't know. That was a good side rail.
Yeah.
Did not want to do that on the radio or on the cast.
cut
But
it.
no, I'm not. People enjoy that shit.
Yeah.
I hate it. I fucking hate it. But
Why?
I know they enjoy it. Because why do I hate it?
Yeah.
Because it makes me look weak.
It doesn't make you look weak.
It does. Because I believe when I look in the mirror that I'm a stoic man, that I am in control of my emotions, that I am able to not yell, not scream. I'm able to logic brain think my way out of most conflict. Like I believe that I am a disciplined man.
Right.
When I am in a borderline episode, I know that I am not. So when we have to have these conversations about that, it takes the veil of who I believe I am and shows me who I really fucking am in the moment. And it's very difficult for me to face that. So it makes me feel like I am less than, because
Right.
otherwise I have my shit together.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. So knowing that in my borderline episodes, I am not the same person, it makes me feel weak. There's no other way to explain that. I don't have the words to put that out.
I understand. You're out of control.
Right. So when we see these and I see how I affect you and I see that I make you emotional and that I hurt you, it fucking sucks.
I think if anything, it makes them view you as a stronger man. Because this whole conversation could have been, well, this is how I am. You have to fucking accept it.
No, you don't have to accept it.
That would make you a weak man. If you used your borderline as an excuse to be mean and nasty and put me down. You don't put me down. I want to clarify that.
Right.
But you could if you wanted to in a borderline episode and then not apologize for it.
Yeah. That I don't know. I think that would make me view myself a lot harder, like a lot worse than just weak.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You can't control the way your brain works.
No.
The way that you present yourself outside of your borderline episodes is how you are as a man.
Right.
And the way you respond to those episodes and course correct shows who you are as a man.
Yeah. The problem is without my borderline, I am in control of all of that.
Right.
So I do see that as a weakness. You know, I kept my borderline under wraps for a very long time. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't talk about it. I just owned it. It was mine, whatever. And I probably wasn't honest with myself and others with that until I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
I've accepted it now, and I've done a whole lot of work to try to make it better, but I don't like using that as a crutch.
Right.
To know that you have a hard time coming to me about something because you're afraid that I'm going to get defensive or react poorly to it, that's a problem. Like, for me as a man, that's a fucking problem. I don't want you to ever not feel safe coming to me with something. And knowing that if I'm in a borderline episode, I treat you poorly when you are just coming to me over something as simple as you needing to be actually verbalized, told good morning. If I was in a borderline episode and I reacted poorly to that and I had to apologize for that later, like that's a problem for me. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah. It doesn't make it okay though.
I know.
And for me to be like, well, I have borderline, and to just try to make that the excuse, because it is a fucking excuse.
But you don't do that.
I know, because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to just accept that I have a mental illness and just fucking go on with my life.
Yeah.
I want to thrive. I want to be better. I want to work through my shit. I don't want to do it at the cost of somebody else's feelings or fears or a detriment of my marriage. I just can't control that shit sometimes. And me even saying I can't control that shit sometimes is a fucking excuse. It is. I should be able to control my fucking emotions. That is a normal function that everyone should be able to do.
Right.
And knowing that in the moment I am completely out of control is a problem. And in knowing that it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be is a win, but it's still an excuse. Well, at least not as bad as I used to be. That's bullshit. You can fucking be better. You need to get your shit together. And that's the way I feel about it. So knowing when we have these conversations, I feel weak because I'm not where I should be.
Like a chink in your armor or
It
something.
is. It's a fucking problem. It's a problem. And I could very much play the victim mentality and throw all those excuses and do all that shit, and it would destroy my marriage. It would. Because I could just allow it to happen and be like, well, that's just who I am. Accept me. That's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to treat people like that.
Right. I respect you as a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know.
Did I just fuck up your day?
No, my day's not fucked up. No, it's not. I just, there's a remorse, I think, there, because I don't ever want to treat you that way. It's why when I get angry, I'm able to pull myself out of that. When I'm going through an episode, though, I can't.
Right.
I can regulate it. I do regulate it. I fucking do regulate it. But I'm not able to regulate it the way that I can regulate when I'm in logic mind thinking. I don't know. And I know to extremes, I have to call somebody. But when we're going through what we went through the other night, that wasn't an extreme. And I felt like I handled it okay, but I obviously wasn't okay because you were afraid to talk to me this morning about saying good morning. Like when I say that back to you and knowing that you were literally freaking out about having to talk to me about that makes me feel like I'm a fucking problem. Like you shouldn't be afraid to come and talk to me about something, and having anxiety about having a conversation with me is a problem for me. That's not okay. It just means that I have to fucking work harder and try to figure out my shit and maybe just tell you like, not right now. I don't know until I'm going through it again, but I know that I need to keep that in check because that's not okay for me. It's just not. I don't know what else to say about any of this. And like,
Right.
I really feel like I just need to apologize and apologize and apologize. And I don't want to keep doing that either.
Okay. You just want to get back into the email?
Please.
For example, my partner and I are currently long distance. Yesterday evening, while talking on the phone, I called him, and he was busy at the moment.
Yeah, well, you're long distance. That's going to happen.
Well, I don't understand. Yesterday evening, while talking on the phone, I called him. So were you wanting to talk to him?
It's probably just misworded.
Okay.
When you guys are long distance, people have their own fucking lives.
Right.
I don't understand why people do the long distance relationship because you're not a priority.
Right.
You're not.
It's like an out of sight, out of mind.
That's it. That's exactly it. And you have no idea what your person's doing. And you
Right.
guys could love having communication and be besties and pen pals and all of that shit. But when you go out, you have no idea what their life truly entails.
Mm-hmm.
You are a fraction of time in their existence when you have
Right.
the phone calls or the text messages.
When you think about it, if you're doing 2 phone calls a day for 30 minutes each, you get an hour
Right.
out of their 24 hours.
Yeah.
And even in in all relationships, not just long distance, if your partner is out with their friends and they're in the middle of doing something, they're not going to walk away for 30, 45 minutes to have a conversation with you.
Right. It's not fair to them.
Right. That's the kind of thing where you have to shoot a text message and be like, hey, are you in the middle of something? I miss you. I want to talk to you. Lately, it feels like it's only a good time if he calls me, and if I call, it's a bad time. He ended the phone call with, I'm trying to be in my present moment. I'd rather not talk about this right now. I'd rather not talk about this right now. What were you trying to talk to him about? Were you coming to him with an issue while he's out doing something?
Right. There's a time and place for those conversations. You can't expect somebody to stop the world because you need them in that moment.
Right. If you're having an anxiety attack over something that was said, and say they're at work, they can't stop what they're doing at work to tend to you having an anxiety attack because you had an emotional response.
Right.
You have to self-regulate, and that's something that can be addressed later.
I'd also like to point out that if you're one of those people that always does that, eventually it's going to get old to the other person.
Right.
And there are people who may love you and be that sensitive, but eventually it's going to get fucking old. And people on the other end of that phone who are at work or who are doing other things are going to be like, I can't deal with this right now, because they will see that as a form of attention seeking.
You know, it's a form of manipulation.
It is.
If you are constantly calling and having anxiety attacks and you need to tend to me, you need to coddle me, you are training that person to give you attention only in a negative situation.
Right. It's a pity me mindset.
It is a pity me mindset. This is a kind of situation from my perspective, just based on the information that we have right now. You are anxious because you're not getting attention. So you're doing anxious attachment styles of constantly calling and blowing up, and I need your attention. You need to pay attention to me. What are you doing? Who are you talking to? You're on Facebook, but you're not messaging me. That is oh, fuck, I lost it.
It's exhausting.
It's very exhausting for both parties.
You just saying that made me not want to
I
deal
used
with
to be
it.
that person.
I would not deal with that.
Yeah. I was that person where attention for 30 to 45 minutes, that's good attention, was not enough for me. I needed to know that you were thinking about me every second of every day. And I would blow people up. And that's why I'm saying that I feel like this is the kind of attachment style where you're anxious about everything. And if you're constantly blowing him up and saying, I need your attention, we have to talk about this and blah, 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 but he's out with the boys and he's trying to have a good time after a stressful day at work, he's not going to want to deal with your ass.
Right.
There's a time and a place for everything.
There's a way to deal with your own problems.
There is.
Yeah, I'm gonna, here's another thing. This is relevant to our lives. Sunday, when you were at work, you were having a fucking meltdown.
Yeah.
About things that were really not that big of a deal. Like I took care of it already on my end, and you just kept going and going and going.
Right, because I was living in the situation.
I know you were. And I was here editing, trying to do other things. And like we were both working on doing two different things, and you were having a fucking meltdown. And I was trying to deal with your meltdown while dealing with the other people that were involved in it, trying to filter your frustration into what actually mattered in the moment instead of the frustration, and then put it where it needed to go in a leadership position. This isn't getting done. This needs to happen moving forward. You need to double check this of people that are underneath of you, because you were very emotional mind, frustrated. I can't fucking believe they did this. And like the madder you got, the more you nitpicked. It's normal. As you're frustrated, it's that snowball effect. If you have one thing that's not a big deal and then a bunch of little things happen, now you've got a big fucking deal, and it's a big thing to deal with. I'm not saying that you were wrong for dealing with it the way that you were dealing with it, but I
wasn't nitpicking. There was, from what you've told me, thousands of dollars worth of fines and out-of-dates in a drawer.
Right. And it was.
Right.
The problem is you were emotional about it instead of going, okay, this is a problem. This needs to be dealt with. This, you didn't logical mind at all. And you were hitting me with the emotional mind, and I had to logic mind filter it to where it needed to go. It's not a problem. That's one time out of maybe 10 that's happened the entire time that I've known you. That's a normal thing for people. If that was one of those things that happened every single day, I wouldn't want to deal with it. I would tell you, like, you need to get your shit together. I can't fucking deal with this. I'm busy right now. And it would create a problem. Knowing that that's not a normal thing for you when we were going through it, or you were going through it, I was able to process that as, okay, she just needs to vent and get it out and worry about her shit. And I processed where everything needed to go. And I was like, just put it all on the counter. I've talked to everybody that needs to be talked about it. They will deal with it tomorrow. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It took you a little bit. I came into the shop to deal with something. You calmed down. Everything was fine after that. If that would have continued and been the entire interaction throughout the day, and that was the next day and the next day and the next day, I wouldn't be able to deal with that.
Right.
So in the situation with the email, if that is that person every single day, the person on the other end of that phone is going to get real fucking exhausted with that.
Right.
It becomes too much and a lot to deal with. Again, I'm not saying that what you did was wrong. I understand it.
Right.
In the moment, you were at the shop and you were still pebble.
No, it was back to back to back to back on top of dealing with 30 people who just walked into the store.
So what was a small issue became a giant fucking issue because of everything that was going on.
Yeah.
So you calling, you actually handled it right, because instead of going to everyone else and freaking the fuck out, you came to me, who was not in the studio, not dealing with people, not dealing with what you were dealing with. I was able to send the pictures and videos where they needed to go. I was like, this is not okay. And I talked to the manager of that side of things. You need to deal with this. And he's like, okay, moving forward, I'll make sure I take care of it. And that was the end of it. We also found other things that people were delegating responsibilities to people who shouldn't have been doing it. And we were able to deal with it. But at the end of the day, that whole scenario and all of your worked up anxiety and anxiousness wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Those things that could have potentially been a problem weren't, because you found them. We addressed it with where we needed to go, and we moved forward. Logic mind was very logic for me while you were going through the emotional process. The person in that email, if she's going through that emotional process every time the phone rings, I wouldn't answer the phone.
Yeah. If you're only calling me to complain about something or be anxious about something or pick a fight, I'm not going to pick up either.
That's the difference between overly emotional and overly sensitive versus somebody who every once in a while has a problem.
Right.
I can deal with an every once in a while problem. I can deal with an emotional Chris every once in a while, or Peaches. Sorry. I can deal with that every once in a while. It's not a big deal. I just have to go, okay, she's really going through it right now. My woman needs me. I got you. But if that was an everyday thing, it would be exhausting.
Right.
I'm not doing that. Do you feel like I just called you out? You want me to delete that?
No.
Okay. Because I wasn't calling you out. I was just
Right.
using that as an example of what's going on in the email.
Knowing that you viewed that whole situation as like a massive meltdown from me bothers me though. Because I was super frustrated. I thought it was complete bullshit that the one person who comes in once a week had to deal with all of that.
And I agree.
So I didn't view that as a meltdown. I was very pissed off and I was ready to put someone through a fucking wall.
Right. And that's the issue.
Yeah.
Because as a leader and as a manager, you can't do that.
Right. I didn't. I handled it very well.
Right. You did. And you came to me.
Yeah.
And you allowed me to logic mind the situation.
I mean, even in the midst of my frustration, I told you I messaged her and I was like, this is unacceptable.
Right.
It has to be handled going forward. And she gave me her list of excuses.
Which is bullshit. It's all excuses.
But I didn't shit on her. I was like, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to call you a liar or anything. I'm just telling you from what I've seen and from my experience, this doesn't add up.
Right.
And she said going forward is going to be taken care of. It is what it is. And then the other few things popped up and I was like, look, I'm really not trying to shit on your day. All of these things are a problem.
Right. And they are.
And I told her everything, and I was like, just to be clear, I say to be clear a lot because I don't want my words to be misconstrued. And I don't want your feelings to be tangled up with my words and shit be twisted.
Right.
I said, today's your day off. Typically, I would wait until you're on Tuesday, whatever, to handle this. Too many things are happening for me not to address it.
Right.
And I told her that me thinking out loud is me trying to process and understand what you're saying to me. I'm not calling you a liar.
Right.
And I told her going forward, you told me it's going to be addressed, it's going to be taken care of. Next time it happens, there's going to be another problem. It's going to be a bigger problem than it was last time because now there are text messages between the two of us that the conversation was had. And now there's set expectations. Right. And that was the end of it.
Well, you did really good dealing with her.
Yeah.
But dealing with me, you were an emotional mess.
Oh, yeah. No, I know being a manager and a leader, I can't present that
Right.
that self to somebody else.
Right.
I'm somebody that they look up to handle shit. So I know I can lose my shit with you and you're going to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to go do this. I'm sorry you're having a bad day. That's
Right.
all I need.
But I allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
And I logic mind your emotional processes further than you did because I dealt with the person that's supposed to be in charge of that now,
Right.
who also dropped the ball. But I was able to do it from a completely calm, like, do this from now on.
Right.
Whereas you had to have that whole long conversation to be clear and like say all that shit because I was logic mind and there was no emotion behind it. It was just, this is your job, do it.
Right.
It was a very different back and forth.
It's also the reason I went so in depth with things is because it's conversations that I've had before.
I know. Babe, I get it. I'm not judging you for it.
Right.
The point is that if I had to deal with that from you every single day, it would be exhausting. And if that's what the person on the other end of that email or on the other end of the phone call from the email is going through every day,
right,
I wouldn't want to deal with that.
I understand that.
That's all.
The reason I explained all of that is because you said, do you feel like you put me on the spot or whatever you said?
No, I asked you if you wanted me to delete that because I don't, I never know. I don't want to assume that I can just say whatever the fuck I want on this podcast about our personal life. There are things that we know are off limits.
Right.
And we've had those discussions. So I always ask you, and if you say, yeah, it's cool, we can talk about it, I will. Or I'll say, I'm going to talk about it, and then if you want me to delete it, I can just clip it. People don't know.
Right.
If I say something and you're like, I don't want that on the internet, I just delete it. It's not a big deal. But those conversations are not, they're very few and far between where you're like, actually, like, yeah, delete it. And then I normally just delete that part where we talk about deleting it, so it just looks like a normal conversation.
Yeah.
But I do ask you, because I don't want to assume. There are specific things that we have had the conversations about, like, we're not talking about this because those are prevalent. But the for instances,
right,
I don't know. Like
real life examples.
Right. I could do something and like be embarrassed by it. And you could say it and I'd be like, I can't believe you just said that. Like, I have to cut that whole thing out now because it's embarrassing.
Right.
It doesn't happen very often, but it's better to ask than assume. So it's just a courtesy, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to do something that you're going to be like, I can't believe you just put that on the internet. Trying to be courteous.
Is that your fucking foot?
It is my
Oh
foot.
my gosh.
I'm self-soothing on the table right now.
Yeah. I love that for you. I'm really hung up on the fact that he said, I'd rather not talk about this right now. That insinuates to me, from my assumption, based on how that is phrased, that you were coming to him with a problem in a moment where he couldn't handle it.
Right.
I would also say, I'm trying to be present in my moment. You're ruining my time.
Right.
I would say that shit.
There's a time and place for it.
Like, right now is not the time. I'm having a good time out with my sister, and you're ruining it right now.
Right. And you know that conversation didn't just happen with a phone call.
No, it was probably back and forth
happened
over
with
text
a text message first, and then the phone call started.
Yeah.
If you send somebody a text message and you're like, hey, what are you doing right now? And they're like, I'm out with my friends. Be like, okay, cool. I'll talk to you later. That's the end of it. You don't need to blow them up while they're out with their friends.
Right.
I'm at lunch with my cousin, whatever. Leave them a fuck alone until they're done. And then you blow their shit up afterwards when they're home alone and can have that conversation and actually devote their time to you.
Right. And when they say that they're out with whomever, you don't hit them back with, okay, we need to talk later.
Yeah. No, you don't. Just be like, cool, enjoy your time.
Right. You don't say, okay, well, when you're done, you need to call me.
Yep.
They'll tell you when they're done. And you'll be like, okay, dope. Is now a good time to call? Adulting. I then sent him a text expressing that what he said made me feel like I'm not important. And looking back, it wasn't just that moment to cause me to feel that way. It was an accumulation of that happening several times that made me feel as if I'm not important enough to be a part of his present moment.
Well, you're long distance and he has a life.
Right. He's not going to give you his undivided attention every second of every day.
Can't expect somebody to just stop everything just when you want them to have that conversation.
And just because you have a free moment doesn't mean they do.
Right.
Because of the long distance, you don't know what's going on in their life.
Right.
And I'm assuming you guys aren't texting each other your schedules every morning.
I don't believe in long distance relationships.
I don't either.
I know that there are people, we know people who had like crazy long distance relationships.
For years.
I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you're getting the enough from that relationship to make it work unless you're one of those people who just don't care.
Right.
You don't need the attention. You don't need the physical touch. You don't need the positive affirmations. Like, you just want to have a pen pal, a text message buddy. At that point, you're literally just friends who hang out every once in a while. And when you see each other, happen to doink. You're friends with benefits.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I just don't see that as a real relationship. And I don't care if you guys view it otherwise. If you are in a long distance relationship and you view it that way, dope. I don't. And I don't have to. Go team.
There's definitely a difference between a couple that's living together and living life together versus somebody who met somebody else on the internet.
Yeah.
You guys have been texting for 2 years. You love each other.
Right.
And you're in a relationship.
Yeah. Even if you've been together 2 years, long distance,
right.
and you love each other, it's not the same thing.
It's really not. This next sentence I'm going to read, I'm going to say something that's going to hurt this person's feelings.
Ooh.
They say, like, I'm not in his physical reality at the moment, that I'm less important to what's going on in his surroundings. You are less important in that moment.
Yeah.
Whatever has his immediate attention in his real life has his immediate attention. If he's at work, if he's out with his mom, if he's out with his friends, having boys' night Friday night, which is something that's been happening long before you guys became a thing, that is more important than you are in that moment. Mm-hmm. There are things that, even in the house, that has your attention that is more important than me in a moment.
Yep. That's life.
That's life. You are not going to be his constant priority, number one, every single second of every single day.
Right.
I mean, of course, I am your priority.
Right. I was just about to say that. You can be someone's number one priority, but in the moment, they're dealing with something that needs their attention.
Right. If you're at the bank dealing with taxes and you're trying to figure out how, I don't fucking do taxes, so.
Right.
If you're talking to the accountant and
There
you guys
you
are
go.
bouncing numbers back and forth and you're doing paperwork and you're trying to figure out where the taxes are from September of last year,
Yeah.
that is more important in that moment than me asking you, what do you want for dinner? I can't believe you're ignoring my text messages.
Right. I just stubbed my toe. It's the end of the fucking world.
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad you corrected that. Because you were like at the bank dealing with taxes. I wanted to be like, I deal with taxes with an accountant. Good catch, babe.
Right. But a lot of people
Yeah.
don't have accountants and all that kind of whatever bullshit. So, yes, because you are not physically there in that moment, you are not as important to whatever has his attention in that second. He is not going to drop what he's doing to answer your phone call because you're overthinking a text message from 2 weeks ago.
Right. That's a lot. There's got to be a name for that. There has to be some sort of like clinical diagnosis for somebody who feels like that all the time.
I would have to say it's an anxious attachment style.
Yeah.
And I'm saying all of this based on my own past bullshit.
Yeah.
I used to feel this way.
I'm not smart enough to understand all that stuff.
I was that person.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Hearing that email is exhausting.
Being the person on the receiving end of this is exhausting, and being the person who does this is exhausting.
Yeah. Do you think it's exhausting for them?
Yes.
They're getting their needs met though.
No, they're not. She's not having her needs met because he's not giving her the attention she's seeking.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because in the moment where they're having that back and forth and the text messages and the arguing, she's getting energy from him.
She is.
Whether it's a good attention or a bad attention, she's getting attention. She may feel like shit afterwards because she didn't get exactly what she wanted.
But she's
but
getting the
in the
attention.
moment, she's getting attention. That's no different than the bad kids who act out because getting spanked is the only time their parents touch them.
Right.
And think I'm wrong about that. Every really bad kid that's lived the life that I've lived has gotten in trouble because it's the only time their parents interacted with them. It's a very real thing. Not a good thing, but it's a real thing.
Right. But still, if that was your childhood, that was your childhood. Were you not exhausted as a child going through all of that shit every day, knowing that that was your life?
As a child, no. It was just normal.
Right.
But as an adult, I had to learn different coping mechanisms and shit and like to seek attention and validation differently. I don't know. I was a really bad kid. I acted out a lot. I don't think that all my attention was just so that I could have interactions with my parents. But as a young kid, you're a parent pleaser. You want your parents to be happy. And if your parents just appease you, you stew your parents, what I can do, and they're like, yeah, nice, and ignore you, you're doing it again and again and again and again and again. Or you start doing other things, trying to get their attention, knocking shit over, being bad, whining.
Because that's the only time they get your undivided attention.
Right.
We ended up getting into a heated discussion about how he feels I don't know how to see boundaries and that I need to learn how to emotionally regulate myself. I agree.
Yeah.
I 100 agree with that statement. He is correct. You need to learn to regulate yourself, and you need to accept that he has boundaries. When he is in the middle of doing something, he is not going to give you his undivided attention because his undivided attention is already set somewhere else.
Right. Which is normal.
Right. It is normal. It is super normal for dudes because they are simple creatures, dude. Dudes cannot follow the same thought patterns women can. We've discussed this. If you and I have a tense conversation and you're focused on one point, but I'm 3 steps ahead of you, but it ties back to the first point, we're talking about the first point.
Yeah, we need to solve the first point before we move to the next one.
All of the other strains of thought that I'm following, you can't comprehend because we're still on the first point. Until you can understand the breakdown on the first point, nothing else matters.
Right. Because that first point's the problem.
Right.
And all the other things are irrelevant to the first point until the first point is resolved.
Correct.
That's my brain.
Yes.
I don't know if other people are the same way, but that is my brain.
And it makes sense. Like hearing that thought process makes sense to me because I can go off onto the 3 or 4 other points that still tie into the first point and feel like I'm making sense.
Right.
Because I can follow those points. Men scientifically cannot follow those points. Their brains are not wired that way.
It's also foolish to think that if a man is dealing with something that you can just interrupt his fucking day.
Right.
If I was dealing with a construction company and you called me having a meltdown over dinner or over stubbing your toe or over the fact that I can't talk to you in the moment because you want to talk to me for 35 minutes on the phone, I'm fucking busy.
Right.
If I'm dealing with my boss, if I was just a normal Joe Blow worker and I had a boss and I had to sit down in his office and my fucking phone is going ape shit because you're having a meltdown, it doesn't work that way. I have responsibilities and priorities in my life. You're a big priority in my life.
Right.
But if I don't deal with my boss in the moment and make sure that my fucking job is good, I have to find another job. That's going to put our life in jeopardy. Well, not hers because she's long distance. She doesn't have to fucking worry about that.
Right.
But common sense, man.
As he pushes me to be more independent when it comes to my emotions and would rather not hear about them unless they're fully processed.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Sometimes it's good to be able to help your person process their shit and be the soundboard and vent to, but there's a time and place for that. Hey, are you busy right now? Yeah, I'm with my boss. I'll call you later. Cool.
Right.
When he calls later, you have that conversation. This might be a long conversation because I have a lot to vent. Can you do it now or you want to call me back after dinner? I'll call you after dinner.
You know, you and I, we do process our emotions together. Like you allow me to come to you and talk out loud and you'll bounce shit off of me and you help me process.
Right.
That is different from going in the same circle of this is what I'm going through. Okay, well, have you thought about this? No, you need to hear what I'm going through. Okay, but let's solve the problem. No, you just need to hear what I'm going through.
Right. Well, that's the difference between solving a problem and venting. If you just need to vent, it's okay to do that every once in a while. But if your go-to is always just to vent, all you're doing is bitching.
Right.
If you don't have the mental fortitude to make changes in your life to course correct and be better, I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. I am one of those people that if you come to me with a problem, I'll listen. And if you don't want advice, you just need to get it out, fine. But if you come to me tomorrow with the exact same fucking problem, I'm giving you advice.
Right.
And on the third day, if you come to me with the same problem again, I'm going to tell you flat out. You vented the first day. I gave you advice yesterday. I don't want to fucking hear it again. You're repeating yourself. Either do something about it or shut the fuck up.
Right.
I feel that way about everyone across the board. Vent, cool. One time, dope. You just needed to get it out. You can now move past that shit. Need some advice? I got you. Don't want to take the advice? I don't want to fucking hear it anymore.
Right. I feel the same way. Where in my point of view, my intention is to communicate with transparency about something that triggered me. Like nipping it in the ass before it becomes an underlying resentment.
Pause. You being triggered is a you problem. Your triggers are your responsibility, not mine. If I say something that you don't like and you tell me that you don't like it and I choose to continue to say it anyways, that could be an issue, but your triggers are your problems. If you are responding or reacting to your triggers, that's nobody's fucking problem but yours.
Right.
People don't need to tiptoe around you.
Right.
People don't need to be responsible for your emotional mindset. That's a fucking you thing.
You know, there are things every day I'm triggered by shit and it gets my anxiety going. How often do you hear about me being triggered every day?
I don't.
You don't.
Because it's not a me problem.
Yep.
Same thing with me. I'll tell you when I'm going through it just so you know that I'm going through it, but unless you can give me advice or help me through it, I'm not telling you about it. There's no point.
Yep.
It's a me problem. That's why we mesh so well.
You know, there are also times like once we fully processed our shit, then we'll be like, you'll never believe the revelation I just had.
Yep.
Or we'll talk about what we just went through and decide on whether or not we should put it on the podcast. Or we just talk about that so you know what's been going on in my brain for the last week.
Right, which helps.
It does.
Yep. And that also goes into the trigger thing. If I do something, the good morning thing, and I know that it you need to hear that, like it's going to make your day better, I'm just going to do it. But if I have a belief system, and my belief system is you'll get a phone call when I'm able to talk to you versus interrupting my entire fucking day to do so.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change that because you get triggered by it.
Right.
This is the way things are. This is normal human life. And if you have a problem with it, deal with it.
Right.
And if you can't deal with it, find someone else who's willing to cater to that shit because I'm not willing to cater to it.
Right. If having a long distance relationship is your massive trigger, don't be in a long distance relationship.
Right. I'm willing to bet that would be a problem whether they were long distance or not.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I feel like it would be eased if they weren't long distance. Like she wouldn't be going through as much as she's going through because she's going to have daily contact with the dude.
Maybe.
She'd feel more prevalent in his life.
Right. Or it would just continue at home.
Yeah.
Because that's a pity me mindset, poor me mindset.
Right.
I need that attention and validation.
Big picture is it seems like whenever I'm emotionally activated and decide to let him know, it causes an argument. And comes down to him telling me, I'm tired of the triggers. I'm tired of the emotional roller coaster you're always on. You need to learn how to deal with it on your own, and puts it in a way that I'm trying to look for something to be mad or sad about, when in actuality, I'm just trying to speak my truth on how something he said or did caused me to feel how I'm processing it.
There's no such thing as your truth. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Everything beyond the truth is your fucking emotions and how you feel about it.
It's your perception.
I hate that. I hate that more than narcissistic bullshit. I hate that more than bare minimum. There is no your truth. There is the truth and your opinion.
Right. That situation, speaking my truth, if you are emotionally activated, your truth is diluted.
It's emotional. It's not truth.
Right.
You're an emotional response.
Yeah.
Or reaction.
Your truth is like the I love the LaCroix analogy. So somebody's screaming truth from the other room, and you're formulating your opinion on what it is.
Right. While feeling TV static.
While feeling TV static. You do have to regulate your emotions. You do have to identify your triggers and learn how to deal with them and not let it bleed into reality. You do have to get off your emotional roller coaster.
Right. I'm willing to bet that the beginning of this relationship with the two of them, this was not a problem.
Right.
I'm willing to bet that he catered to all of that, trying to be the good person and be there when she needed him.
Be the shoulder to cry on.
And he gave it to her. And I'm sure that it worked. And it started to get real fucking old and exhausting. And now they're fighting over it because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
Right.
Because that's a bullshit mindset to be putting on somebody else's shoulders.
He's coming out of the love obsession and recognizing that this is a red flag.
Yep.
This is a red flag. You are not mentally healthy enough to be in a relationship with another person while understanding that you are both adults and you have your own lives. I'm just really tired feeling like I'm always the problem because of my emotions. Where do you draw the line between self-regulation and speaking to a partner about how something makes you feel?
You wait until you've processed that emotion and then you have a logic brain conversation.
Yes.
Having an argument or a fight is not going to resolve anything. It's going to elevate everything. You guys are going to have a huge fucking problem. Nothing's going to get resolved. When you have conflict with people, right? And like you get things resolved and the next day you kind of have like a touch-up conversation. Your resolution comes in that touch-up conversation where you are calm and you're able to apologize for what happened. I'm sorry that I did that. Moving forward, I'll do X, Y, Z, because they've had time to get past the emotional state, process what's happened, and grow from it. So if you have an emotional trigger and you are calm and you are not emotional when you have the discussion, it's not going to come across as an attack. You're not going to have a lot of conflict in the moment. You are going to be able to process through everything and be like, hey, I just want to let you know the other day when this happened, it made me feel X, Y, Z. I'm over it now. I've processed it. I know that's a thing for me. Moving forward, can you just try to be aware of when you say those things, it's going to make me feel like this.
Right.
It's not an attack. They're not getting defensive. You are literally just letting them know that this is a problem for me. Can you help me out? That's very different than blowing their fucking phone up and having emotional crying, screaming, freaking out fucking thing.
Right. He also doesn't have to fix your triggers. He doesn't have to talk you off the ledge of your trigger.
Right.
When you and I are in a moment of being triggered and we're going through it, we tell each other, I'm triggered, I need a minute. I don't push my problems onto you, making you fix me. If you are calling him and you're in the midst of being triggered and you're panicking and you're freaking out and you're expecting him to fix everything for you, that's not his job. His job is to be there and be understanding. If you're triggered, you need to say, I'm triggered and I'm going through it.
Right.
And he can say, okay, babe, I got you. I'm here for you. But he can't fix your thought process.
Right.
You know, that night where you were in your BPD episode and you got shitty with me, you did this thing, you scoffed or you laughed or you did whatever you did. And my immediate reaction in my mind was to call you an asshole. And I didn't. I just walked away.
Right.
If I had reacted emotionally and called you an asshole, that would have been a whole thing.
You've told me that scoff thing. You've told me that it's a bother. Like it bothers you.
It's
when
a trigger
I do it.
for me. Yeah.
And I do that because I need to process what I'm about to say because that's my mute button. Mm-hmm. And I know that I do it because I didn't realize that I did it. I never noticed that I did that because it's like, okay.
Right.
I never noticed it. And then you called me in the moment and I was like, oh God, okay, so now I need to pay attention to this. And since then I've done it a couple of times. And I know, logic brain, it is me pausing for a moment because I'm about to really say some mean shit. That's my, okay, I need a minute. Mm-hmm. And I need to work on, instead of scoffing, go, okay, wait a second, I need a second. So that won't trigger you. But until you called me on that like 3 weeks ago, I didn't even realize it was a thing. Yeah. Like I never even knew that I was making that noise.
So in that moment where I was triggered, if I had responded emotionally, there would have been a massive blowout between us.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was already frustrated and so were you.
I could not imagine how you would have handled. I've never called you a name before. I've never called you a name.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Stop it.
Ooh.
Stop
yes,
it.
you have.
Fuck.
Yeah. Okay. You have never called me a name in not sexy time.
I've called you some pretty mean things.
I love it.
I enjoy it. So going back to what I was saying, if I had reacted emotionally in that moment because I was triggered, it would have caused a massive argument.
Right.
In those moments where you're triggered and you're emotional, you can't go to him and say, I'm triggered. We need to figure this out right now.
Right. Conflict doesn't get resolved in conflict.
You need to tell him, I'm triggered. I'm going to be MIA for the next hour or two while I process what I'm going through. And then if I'm feeling better, we'll talk about it.
Yep. We don't even have to do that anymore.
No.
I just leave the room for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't leave the house. Go into a different room for a few minutes.
Do you have anything else for that?
Nope. So guys, I realize that I can be kind of harsh in some of these emails. There are things that I just will not tolerate.
Right.
I won't.
The victim mentality is one of them.
It really fucking is. That's one of the hardest things. That's why I feel weak with my borderline. Mm-hmm. It's a victim mentality. Me playing that weakness or realizing that's a thing and me addressing my borderline, knowing that it's the cause and knowing that I can't just fix it makes me feel like a victim. That's why I feel weak. It's why I have such a hard time with it.
Right.
That scenario, you know that you're the problem. You know that you need to resolve your shit. You need to resolve all of your things before you address it to another person. Mm-hmm. Unless they did something in the moment that needs to be addressed in the moment. If something in your life is happening to you, you need to figure that out and then talk to your partner to vent or get a problem resolved.
Right.
Beyond venting once and problem resolved the second time, anything beyond that's just you complaining. Mm-hmm. Nobody's responsible for your triggers.
Or you causing an argument.
You getting emotional is a you problem. You being offended is a you problem. Mm-hmm. People can say and do whatever the fuck they want. They don't have to believe you. They don't have to accept it. They don't have to do anything. You thinking that the world has to cater to you makes you a main character in the universe, and that doesn't fucking work that way either.
No, it doesn't.
I don't fucking owe anyone anything. Mm-mm. And I will be respectful to an extent to everyone. But if you think that I'm going to change my belief system and my views and the way that I perceive a situation to cater to the fucking world, you're wrong.
Right.
And if that makes me a main character syndrome, then fuck it. I have it too. We all kind of do to an extent. Everyone believes that they're the center of their universe because they're perceiving their life as the way they perceive it.
I mean, you're living your life.
Right. Nobody else is.
If I had main character syndrome and I expected me to be the main character of your life story, we would not have anything that we have.
Right.
The drive and discipline that you have for yourself is the reason we have the life that we have. Yeah. If I was trying to take your attention away from all of that and make you give it to me because I need to be the main character in your story, that's a problem. Right. That's how you regress in life. That's how you ruin relationships.
Some needy shit.
That is some really needy shit.
Okay.
Next email is called Advice, Please. First and foremost, I want to say that I came across your TikTok yesterday and immediately went and followed your YouTube channel as well.
Thank you for that. Finger guns.
That is super dope. I think you guys are great, and the relationship you two have together is truly beautiful. I can see the love you have for each other, and it radiates. You know, that person saying I can see the love you have for each other, people commenting on my body language and posture in that video, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't either, but they see it.
Yeah.
Which is dope for me because it's genuine. You know what I mean? Like those are actions don't lie.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you can learn to fake your body language. Like if you really fucking took the time, but who the fuck's gonna do that?
Right. That's a constant you have to think about.
Right.
What your body's doing.
Yep.
Body language is a subconscious thing your brain just does.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man, faking body language would be so hard. That's
Right.
exhausting.
And that's where I always say that your actions speak louder than words, and they
Yeah.
don't lie. If I'd have came in here and made that TikTok last night where I gave you that little flirty line and you rolled your eyes at me and then laughed, you rolling your eyes tells me how you feel. The laughter afterwards is to make me not feel childish or stupid for doing it. You posturing and smile and having a glitch moment, like it's genuine. That's why people feel the way they do about our stupid little shit that we post on the internet, because it is real. That's our fucking life. Like I may be recording it. I find the little cheesy pickup line online. And I'm like, okay, she's going to enjoy this one. And I'll walk over and record it and do it to get your reaction. But that is our life. Like we say really stupid shit to each other and we fawn over each other because of it. The only difference is I get somebody smarter than me to give me a pickup line to tell you.
I have a pickup line for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You ready for this?
Yes.
I might not go at. Oh, fuck. I can't. I'm nervous for your reaction. Okay.
Oh, shit. Can't put that on YouTube. Can't put that on YouTube. Can't put that on TikTok either.
No.
Nope. But
did you like that?
I did. That was good.
Yeah.
I find dirty ones like that and can never do them on a recording because they're super inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get flagged for being overly sexual. I have to walk the line with TikTok. YouTube is even worse.
Yeah.
So
That's stupid.
that was good though.
Yeah.
Did you think of that or did you find it?
Oh, I found it somewhere. Yeah.
That's
I did
funny.
not think of that. Now, let me give you some background information. I'm a single mom to my soon to be 10-year-old daughter. All my life, I have been in fight or flight mode, and that's made me very guarded, as you can imagine, and strongly independent. I have started seeing this guy who is truly incredible, and I can actually see a future with him. He has 2 boys who I absolutely adore. The 3 of them stay at my house on the weekends. He is the first man who, instead of getting mad at me when I say how I feel about certain things, he validates my feelings and we talk about it. But there's one thing that frustrates him about me, and that's the fact that I give him such a hard time about helping me with anything financial or even helping me with something around my house. I feel like I'm not his responsibility to take care of in those ways. Okay, so if you become a wife, then what is it?
Okay, so they're not married.
No, they're not married.
And how long have they been together?
It doesn't say.
Okay. Guys, we need that information.
We do need that information. So if you carry on the way that you're carrying now, I can understand the financial aspect because you're not living together. That might make me a little bit uncomfortable too, because I'd feel like I'd owe somebody something. If the sink is broken and he wants to fix the sink, let him fix the fucking sink. You're emasculating him by saying, no, I don't want you to do it. He's your man. He's supposed to be your man. Him stepping in and doing things like that around the house is not only going to make him feel like he's doing something right, it's going to make you feel taken care of by somebody who's supposed to take care of you.
Right.
If you move in together and you get married and you're doing the life thing together, that mindset is going to ruin your relationship.
Right.
There can't be 2 masculine, independent energies in a household. Or if you go above him and you call a plumber to come and fix something when he's there and can help you, as a man, I would have a problem with that.
Right. I would have a problem if I tried to help you financially if we were just dating and you told me no.
Yeah.
Because I don't do loans. But you know that.
Right.
We had those discussions way early on because you've seen the money that I've loaned to people that I've never got it back. If I can't afford to lose it, I can't afford to loan it. And I
Right.
believe that. And I never loan money. If somebody asks me for it and I give it to them, I'm giving it to them. And I always put the stipulation on it. If you can pay me back, that would be dope. But I'm not holding my breath. Because I know that if I give you money and you don't pay me back and you tell me you're going to, now you're a liar. And I have a problem with that. So that scenario where if 2 people are dating and the man can and wants to and you refuse that, I mean, that's kind of a problem. That would be like if you came over to cook me dinner and I'm like, no, you can't cook here. Get out.
Yeah, that would be a problem for me.
Right. People show their love in different ways. If you've got it and you can do it, why not?
Right. I'm not shitting on her for that mind. I'm shitting on her a little bit for that mindset.
Yeah.
Because that mindset is very toxic.
Yeah.
In a relationship.
Yeah. I just was trying to provide a different perspective.
Right.
Because some people don't want to have people take care of them.
Right.
And like, some people don't want people to do their laundry. Some people don't want people to cook for them. Like,
right.
You wouldn't let me cook for you. I did it once. I cooked that kitchen sink hash and you're like, this is amazing. But if I came home after working and decided to get in the kitchen and try to cook you dinner, you'd come in and be like, what are you doing? Get away.
Right.
Why are you smirking?
Because that was like in the first phases of us dating and you haven't cooked since.
You've made it clear that you don't want me to do.
Right.
I would. If you want me to make that, I'll make it again. I'll cook whenever you want me to. I'm not doing dishes.
Right.
I'm not doing that anyways, but I will cook for you if you really wanted me to cook, but you've made it very clear that that's your responsibility and you don't want me doing that. So I don't want to overstep and you'd be like, get out of the fucking kitchen.
That was just a funny realization for me because you used to cook for yourself.
Yeah. I don't have to now.
And now you don't.
That's because you got super wife on you.
Yeah.
You used to pay your own bills and now you don't.
I love that you love my cooking.
I do.
Yeah.
You have fucking gravy and biscuits. The last two dinners that we had, because we were supposed to start dieting today.
Yeah.
When you made that barbecue chicken and homemade mashed potatoes, I ate 3 fucking plates of that. I was so full in here, like feeling like fat bastard trying to process shirt orders.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was so fucking good. I was 1 bite of mashed potatoes and 4 pieces of chicken. I felt like a chipmunk. My cheeks were so full, but like the combination of flavors just did it for me. And then last night with gravy and biscuits, I ate until I felt sick.
Mm-hmm. How were the potatoes?
I love the mashed potatoes.
Not the mashed potatoes, but those home fried potatoes.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're not as good as the mashed potatoes.
Right. Because
they're good.
I can't add all the things like I do the mashed potatoes.
I feel like the Green Mile with your mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
When he's got his last dinner, he's like, mashed taters. Some of your wife's cornbread.
I really do make really good mashed potatoes.
Yeah, they're the bomb. I'm old. I just said the bomb. I wasn't born in the 80s. In 1980, not at all.
No. If we were to be to correct, it would actually be like 1930s.
For what?
Because someone said you were 74.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If we were actually being accurate on timeline, guys.
Somebody on my TikTok yesterday asked about our age difference.
Yeah.
And then on the very next video, somebody else asked how I felt about age differences. And I'm like, if you're both adults, what does it fucking matter? It's nobody's business. Like if both people are adults, it doesn't matter how somebody else feels about their relationship because it's not their fucking relationship.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. Let people be happy.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like being nosy, go like this to remind yourself that you're fucking nosy.
Yeah.
And then move on with your life.
Yeah. And that's separate from a situation of like an 18-year-old and a 45-year-old.
They're adults.
Right. But still, there could be manipulation
There absolutely could be. But that's none of my business because
Right.
I'm not in that relationship and I don't have to live that life. Unless somebody goes, hey, what do you think about my relationship? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think about your relationship. I think about my relationship.
How dope it is.
Yeah, because I don't have to worry about that. And if you have a huge outfalling and you guys can't communicate and you got all these fucking problems, unless you ask me about it, I don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have too much other shit that's way more important than your fucking life to worry about.
Yep.
And with that mindset, the idea that we're doing this is truly mind-blowing because we do want to help people and want people to be better. But like, I don't get on the internet and judge people. I don't give a shit.
I judge the things people say.
Yeah,
if
they're saying them to us. Like,
not even that. No, like on TikTok, if someone says something that's out of line or out of pocket, I'm gonna have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I scroll. I don't give a shit. It doesn't affect me. It's your opinion.
You stitch TikToks and you give your opinion.
That I do because it grows the channel.
Right.
That's calculated. I see shit all the time I don't agree with on TikTok and just keep scrolling.
I just keep scrolling. I hit that little not interested.
If I can do something that's going to get me views and drive my channel, which will drive this, that I'll do because that's work.
That's passing judgment, though. You're giving an opinion.
Oh, I pass judgment constantly.
Right.
I constantly pass judgment. Don't get me wrong. I fucking judge everyone. I'm a judgmental fuck. I just don't voice it.
Right.
I don't care. But I judge everyone.
Yeah.
I can't believe you do that. How dare you wear sideways stripes? I did that in the car yesterday.
You did do that in the car?
Yep.
Dead silence, and he goes, I don't understand why anybody would ever wear stripes.
Sideways stripes.
I was like, what? And he was like, that person back there was wearing like the striped shirt, and I was like, oh,
Like
yeah, fuck stripes.
You wear vertical so that you look thin, not horizontal so you look like a fucking 1920s inmate. Because when you wear the sideways stripes, it makes you look big. No matter how small you are, you look bigger.
You're right. Yeah.
So if you got a little bit of heft to you and you put on a sideways shirt, you got a whole lot of heft to you looking in that shirt from the stripes. So I judge. I'm like, how dare you do that? You should fucking know better. Be better.
Learn how to dress yourself.
Wear your shit up and down if you're wearing that. So fucking stupid. I am that guy.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Not gonna lie. Yeah. I do see some people out there like the way they layer their clothes sometimes.
Get off my fucking lawn. I'm an old man. It is what it is. That's funny.
But then again, I don't understand fashion, so really my opinion means absolutely nothing.
Your opinion shouldn't matter to anyone.
Oh yeah, no,
it should have mattered to you, and that's the extent of it. That's
The
why
things
this is so wild to me.
The things that we say here, y'all could really not even give a fuck about, but I have fun doing it.
Yep.
And some people gain value from it. That's neat. But in all reality, I said on TikTok, I'm a nobody.
We are.
On the internet. And people are like, no, don't put yourself down like that. You affect so many people's lives. I'm a nobody on the internet. Saying my opinion. People are asking for advice from us. We're giving it advice. And all reality, it can go in one ear and out the other. They could take absolutely nothing from it. And it's not going to hurt my feelings.
Yep. To me, and I agree with everything you just said, I feel like the only reason why people ask is because they see what we have.
Yeah.
And what we have works because we know how to talk to each other.
It's also the mindsets we have. People
it.
say we have very extreme mindsets when it comes to certain topics, like extreme accountability.
It works.
But that's why we have the relationship that we have, because we have that extreme accountability and we have the extreme stance against corn.
Yeah. We have a lot of extreme stances.
We do.
But it works for us.
Right.
And we're not saying that you have to live that way. We're saying that it works for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously want what we have, so you ask.
Right. That falls into like the same thing when it comes to like parenting, for example.
Mm.
If you married a man because of the man he is, you can't shit on him for his parenting.
Right.
If you married him because of the man that he is going to raise the children to have the same quality of character that he has.
Right.
So you can't shit on us for our relationship and then, okay, so how can I have what you have?
Yeah. The amount of relationships the emails that we get that go, I'm not into traditional relationships, but everything that you said helps my relationship. Well, that's good that you don't have a traditional relationship. If that's not what you want, you don't have to have that.
Right. That's not relevant.
It's not.
To anything.
It's really fucking not.
It really blows my mind that people go, I'm not into traditional relationships, or you should put a disclaimer because you said traditional relationship. That's a you problem. What we have, we've never said you had to have. We've never said this is the perfect blueprint. If you don't follow what we have, you will never experience happiness in life.
Nope. All right.
Okay.
We gotta get back. We got 50 minutes.
Now let me give you some background information.
Okay.
I just read all of that. I feel like I'm not his responsibility to take care of in those ways. Take my car, for instance. It's on its way out. He keeps talking about getting me a new vehicle, and I gave him a hard time about it. I don't know how to get out of this mindset that I have to take care of everything myself because I've never had anyone who wants to take care of not only me like this, but my daughter as well.
Okay, so we don't know how long they've been together. This email doesn't have it. So we know that she's living in her masculine.
Oh, wait, there's a follow-up.
Okay.
She's 29, he's 32.
Okay.
They've been seeing each other for a few months now.
Okay.
So it doesn't say how long they've known each other.
So him trying to get her a car.
They've known each other for years.
Oh, well, there you go. So he already knows.
Yeah.
He went into this relationship knowing what he's getting himself into.
Yeah.
And him trying to do for you on that level is trying to show you that he's capable of being a provider and you can be in your feminine with him.
Yeah.
If a man steps in and is trying to provide that heavily, that quickly, oh boy knows exactly what the fuck he wants.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, he knows exactly. He knows damn well what he wants.
Yeah.
You did it. And I was that person. I didn't want help. I didn't want anybody to provide for me because I was doing it all my own. Mm-hmm. And you came in like a knight in shining armor and you showed me that I could trust you. And I was like, okay, I can let my guard down a little bit. I can trust somebody. And because I knew who you were from years of friendship before dating, I had no reason not to trust you.
Yep.
So if you've known this man for years and he's given you no reason not to trust who he is as a man, don't be on guard like this.
Yeah.
You're going to push him away.
I don't, maybe not push him away. If he wants it, he wants it.
Right. I don't know if it's a constant battle to try to be a good man to somebody.
Yeah.
If I was constantly fighting you on being a good man for me, would you stay?
I don't know. I think that it would have created tension for sure, but I would have eventually stopped trying to offer and trying to help But knowing what I wanted with you, seeing that you were struggling, made me want to do those things to make you not struggle because I wanted you to have a dope fucking life.
Yeah.
And as we progressed, I just did more and more of that, and you have a dope fucking life. I have the ability to do those things. If he has the ability to do that shit, if he's got a dope ass credit score and a really good paying job and he's trying to get you into a new car, that's a commitment.
Yeah.
Signing a car note for someone is a fucking commitment.
That shows that he's here for you.
And it's not you asking him for it. It's him volunteering it. Oh boy has a long-term fucking mindset with you, I promise, or he wouldn't be doing that shit.
Yep. And with him having that long-term mindset, you have to ask yourself, do you want this to be a constant argument long-term?
Right.
In 10 years, do you still want to have a back and forth because you feel like you can't trust a man to take care of you, or you don't feel comfortable with somebody else providing for you? Because that's what a marriage is. You guys provide for each other.
Yeah. It's teamwork. It's teamwork.
It is teamwork. So trust him. If he wants to get you a car, let him get you a car. I did.
You need to sit down, go to dinner with this man without your daughter.
Yeah.
And just be like, so I noticed that you were trying to help me get a car. And if you help me get a car, whether you buy it or you sign for it, this shows me that you're in this for the long run. What does our future look like?
Ooh, that's a good conversation to
Yeah,
have.
it fucking needs to happen. If you're only a few months in, you need to have that conversation now. Build that foundation and get all those expectations out. This is probably one of the coolest emails that we've gotten in a while. I like shit like this.
You know, that conversation at dinner you can also bring up how you're struggling with it. Say, I know that I'm being combative and it's creating arguments, and I notice that you're frustrated when this happens. This is hard for me.
Yep.
I've never had anybody to rely on. So if you want this long term, and we both agree that this is something that we want to pursue for as long as we can, I will take a step and allow you to sign for the car, whatever the agreement is. And then say, I need you to recognize that it's a big step for me.
Yeah.
I need you to have that acknowledgement of, I am taking this massive step outside of my comfort zone. This is something that might possibly trigger me in a couple of weeks. Just know that I'm about to go through it because this is a massive change in my comfort.
Right.
That also needs to be stated.
But it's also going to show him that you are trying to do just as much as he is.
Correct.
Because you guys are trying to grow together. That's a healthy situation. I don't see anything wrong with any of that.
This relationship's going to be super dope if she's able to let her guard down.
It very well could be. It really could be. If he, again, men want to provide.
Right.
And when we're happy and life is good and everything is going the way that it should normally, a good man will go above and beyond. Obviously, there's not a bunch, not all men are good men, but
Right.
if he's trying to fucking provide and helping you get into a car and doing all that shit, like, you guys have known each other for a long time, you know what kind of man he is, or you wouldn't be bringing him around your kid.
All right. So I'm reading a little bit more. There was just some added things in a follow-up email. So they're looking to move to Tennessee together. So they're looking at houses.
Me too.
He is a tow truck driver and mechanic, and said once they move in together, she won't have to work.
There you go.
Girl, I'm telling you, this was me. You came in, you wanted to be the provider, you wanted to do everything, you wanted to give me a good life. I'm going to be honest. There was a moment where I was like, okay, like, what is he trying to get?
Yeah.
Like, what is the end goal for him here? I'm not used to that, of someone wanting to make my life easy.
I did get something out of it, though.
Right, you got me.
I got your time.
Yeah. And one way that I looked at it was, he's not using me because who would want to use a woman with 2 kids?
Yeah.
There's nothing, really all you can gain out of this is me. Taking on me plus 2 children, that's a lot to take on if it's a game for you.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it is. You're right. The kids were the only hang up that I had in all of this.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest, like, do I really want to do this again for the next 18 years? Because it's an 18-year commitment. We're just working around that.
Yeah. Do you think the decision was worth it?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Are there things that I don't like? Absolutely. Would I love to be able to just buy a Class B van and go disappear for 2 or 3 months at a time? I'd fucking love that.
Right.
It's just a little bit later now. You know what I mean? Like 18 years later. Well, 14 years later, but it's still later. And there's no way, there's no guarantee that it's got to be that long. So I don't deal in definites.
Right.
I don't, because I will plan and something will change and I'll have to replan. So I plan and then plan all my hypotheticals and my what ifs and possible bad scenarios so that I have a plan no matter what's happening moving forward. And it serves me to do that, because in the event that something changes, it's not that big of a fucking deal. I can just course correct, right?
Right.
So for me, knowing that potentially 14 years I'd have to live in the same area, I was like, all right, I'm willing to do that. But there are things that could happen in the future that may change that. When they start going to school, maybe they have to pick a certain parent's house that they live at, and we do weekend warrior shit, or they do weekend warrior shit. And if that's the case, they get weekends.
Yeah.
And if they get it, then we get weeks. And like, because of where I'm at financially, I can miss a week of work whenever I want. It's not that big of a deal. There are always what if scenarios. Now, things have advanced. You knew how I felt about homeschooling from the rip. And now they're on board. So the four of us are on board with homeschooling. When the kids are 8 or 9 years old, if I wanted to buy a Class C that had bunk beds, we could fucking travel the United States while you're homeschooling, and they can live experiences, and I still get to live the life I want.
Yep.
And at 8, 9, 10 years old, they can hike, and we can do all that shit together. It just means that there's 2 other mouths to feed while we're doing it. And we can't have crazy, sexy time on the bus.
Right.
Whatever.
Do it in the woods.
Wouldn't be the first time we've done it in the woods.
Compromises.
Yeah. So anyways, there's always what if scenarios that could play into all that. And there's, the idea of buying a Class B van is still very prevalent to me. And knowing that we have the relationship with your ex and the co-parenting that's going on, if we wanted to go do that for 2 weeks and ask them to keep the kids, he would say no problem.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, some stuff about the kids.
Yeah, no worries.
So she just wants to know how to get out of the mindset. Excuse me. Getting out of that mindset is not going to be easy because it's all work that you have to do on yourself. And that first step is going to trust him. You have to trust him. Let go of the reins a little bit. If he wants to fix something around the house, let him fix something around the house and then show appreciation for it.
Yep.
Tell him, babe, you're the best. You just made my life so much more easy. I can't believe that I didn't have to handle that because I have a man to do it for me now. Hype him up.
Yep.
And, if you guys are looking at houses together and you're looking to move next summer, I think him buying you a car is a good first step. Because if you buy a house together and you're still in this mindset and you're living together and it's a constant battle of who's in their masculine energy, it's going to be so much harder to get out of that mindset.
Yep.
So I would say go to the dinner, lay out expectations of what's coming in the next few years because this looks like it's going to be marriage and till death do us part.
Those expectations need to be set anyways before you guys move in with each other. That really needs to happen. And if you guys are going to be moving in, you need to set your jobs. You need to figure out who's going to be doing what in the home. Like there's a whole lot of this is about to be happening. Let's figure this out now and have a plan so that when we come to the crossroads of these things, we know who's doing what. Pink jobs, blue jobs, if that's what you're going to do. If you're not going to work, obviously you're going to be taking on the role of a housewife. How does that look? Are you going to do stay-at-home mom? Like there's a lot. And you need to have those conversations before you move in so that it's all hashed out with no stress or expectations.
Yep.
And you can figure out what the fuck you guys want to do. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
You want to do another one? You want to call it?
We have 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Okay. This one is called I Need to Know If I Am the Problem.
Yep.
I really want to put that on a t-shirt. Have you considered you're the problem?
Yeah, probably. I think so.
Ooh, that's so good. I'm really good at making shirt names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the blah, blah, blah communication.
Which is actually the bigger of the two selling.
Love is not enough.
Yeah.
Have you considered you're the problem?
Have you considered we have 40 minutes for this email?
No, because I'm sitting over here squinting, going through my Rolodex of phrases that we could put on a t-shirt.
Yeah, we can do that not on the podcast.
Okay. Thank you for redirecting me. Hello? Oh, I almost said names. We have one son and we've been together for 2 years. Now, there are a lot of things wrong with our relationship. Some are obvious and definitely were preventable. Others are more obscure and sometimes I don't know what to do. He came from a small home family. Mom and dad have been married since they had him at 16 and 18. I could not imagine having a kid at 16 years old. Oh, God, it's so stressful now. I couldn't imagine being a child, having a child.
Yep.
Jeez. I mean, not shitting on people who do that. I just, stronger than me.
Yeah.
Saying that you are better than I, because I do not have the mental fortitude. He has one sister who was sick with heart issues as a child. I come from a larger family, 4 kids total. My dad is a narcissistic abuser, and my mom is emotionally unavailable and kind of neglectful. They divorced when I was 8. Okay. So, from what I've gathered, he had a pretty healthy childhood compared to yours because there was really no information given on his end.
Right. Or she just didn't feel the need to include it because it's about her, not him.
Right. I feel like that would be prevalent information though.
Maybe.
Because if somebody grew up in constant traumatic experiences, their brain is wired differently from somebody who didn't.
Right. That's true.
So the way that he's perceiving your reactions would influence my opinion on things. So much goes into this shit.
Mm-hmm.
We are really picking apart the human psyche.
Which says a lot because I have a 7th grade education.
Wow. I want to go to college for this.
I don't ever want to go back to school.
I'm really considering taking like psychology and sociology classes. Body language classes and shit.
Yeah. 40 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to keep you on track one way or another.
When we got together, he came out of a 5-year relationship where she cheated on him and she went into kidney failure in the last 2 years of the relationship. So he stayed after she cheated. You don't get a free pass. You're going through kidney failure? That sucks. You made the active choice to betray my trust.
Yeah.
Oh, God, this is probably gonna sound really shitty of me. People who use their medical diagnoses as a pity me. I know I cheated on you, but I'm dying. That's manipulation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a you problem. I'm not dying.
Right.
You made a choice. I get to respond to that choice because my life matters too.
Right. I know I've treated you like shit for the last 6 years. I have stage 2 cancer.
Yeah.
You can't leave me now because we're supposed to be in this together. You have to look past all of that shit. That's just...
Yeah, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. For a while, he continued to message her. I asked him to stop, and he didn't. I checked his phone late one night after her message popped up, and he had told her he didn't know if he made the right choice picking me over her.
Ooh.
I would have left. I wouldn't have even said anything.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I would have just taken all of my shit and I would have left. I am not second option. I am not a backup choice. I'm not on the back burner in case something doesn't work out.
Right.
I am your first choice or I am not your choice. After a conversation, I told him if he wasn't going to fully choose me, then we didn't need to be together. I laid out my expectations very clearly and told him if he wasn't ready, that he could dip and there would be no hard feelings. He stayed. 8 months after we got together, we found out we were pregnant. We weren't trying, but I had issues with birth control and he encouraged me to take it out. And if we got pregnant, he'd be happy. So she said, take it out. I'm assuming she had like an IUD or something. Another probably unpopular opinion. You guys shouldn't try to be having children if you've only been together for 8 months.
Yeah.
I feel like everything, like real life shit, should start after 2 years.
I agree.
Having children, talking about marriage.
Buying a house together.
Buying a house together.
Yep. Get through that first 2 years.
Everything. Everything needs to happen after that 2-year obsession fades and you can actually see if you are compatible as people outside of that love illusion.
Yep.
He was not happy and couldn't tell me if he wanted to keep our son or not.
So he lied to you.
See, he lied, yeah.
So he's a deceiver and a liar. Mm-hmm. Okay, continue.
After 2 years, he's emotionally cheated on me, has pressured me to have sex after I said no. I have to practically beg him to keep his parents from pushing into our lives and putting his foot down. I had to beg him to want to do things with me that don't only include things he wants to do. He stopped helping our son without me asking, and when I would ask, he would just try to get him to sleep so he wouldn't have to deal with him.
And they've been together for how long? 8 months? Or they were 8 months with the son? How long have they been together?
So 8 months.
Not married,
They got
right?
pregnant. After 2 years, he emotionally cheated on her.
Okay.
So there's not an actual timeline of how long they've been together at this point.
Not married, though?
No,
Okay.
not from what I can see. So he told you he didn't know if he wanted to be a dad. He verbalized that.
Right, after telling her that he would be happy if she got pregnant, though.
Right.
So the reason I asked about the marriage thing is because I view relationships and marriage very differently.
Yes.
You can walk away from a relationship like that.
Right.
Marriage is a different story because you've given your word. You've taken a vow. If you are, and the sex thing would have also mattered to me in that scenario too, because you have a duty to your spouse if you're married. If you're living together like you're married and you're in that kind of relationship, you still have a duty to them because you're living as if you're married. I don't know. There's not enough information on the whole pressured you to have sex after you told him you didn't want to.
Right.
So
has it been like 6 months?
Right. That was my question.
Or did you guys just have sex 2 hours ago?
And now he wants it again.
Right.
You know, did you have bubble guts and you were afraid you're going to shit on him? Like,
right.
There's a whole lot of questions that go into that. But if you are in a committed relationship with somebody and you expect them to be faithful, sex has to happen.
Right.
Because if not, eventually somebody's going to go, okay, I've had enough of this, and they're going to go find it.
Yeah. That's separate from, I've had a hard day. My mental's shit right now.
Right.
I can't do it. And
make
there might be...
Make it up to you tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
And there might be like the next few days might be rough, but then there has to be that I'm making it up to you.
Right. It's really weird to me that the whole sex thing has become the way that the sex thing has become, because it's become normalized to weaponize.
Sex.
It's become normal to use it as a weapon or to use it as a reward system instead of using it to keep intimacy alive and continue to maintain your relationship.
It's not about love anymore.
It's not. And when you are in love with somebody and you are living that life or you are married to them, that is the one thing that they're not supposed to go outside of their relationship to get. And if you're not putting out, man or woman, and your spouse goes and gets it from someone else, you can be mad about it. You can be real mad. I can't believe they did that, them piece of shit, lying, fucking cheating motherfucker, blah, 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 blah.
But if you've been denying them for the last year and a half.
Right. What do you think's going to happen?
And if there's no sex, there's no intimacy. There's no random I love yous. There's no touching you behind the back while you're cooking.
Yep.
There's no sitting on his lap while you're watching TV. There's no connection there anymore. You're roommates.
You live long enough in that roommate phase, and eventually that's exactly what you're going to become.
Yep.
And then when somebody cheats, well, we haven't been intimate. We feel like roommates.
You haven't kissed me in 3 months.
We feel, yeah, exactly. What do you think is going to happen?
It's not even we haven't had sex in 6 months. You haven't touched me in 6 months. You haven't held my hand in 6 months. You haven't looked at me and told me I love that I'm with you in 6 months. People get so butthurt about the fact that they went and had sex with somebody else. It's deeper than that.
It is much fucking deeper than that.
It's so much deeper than just having the physical intimacy. There's no intimacy, period.
Right. And people crave that.
People say that emotional wounds last longer than physical wounds. That emotional intimacy is going to carry you so much further than actual sex.
Right. Absolutely.
If you guys aren't having sex in a year, but you're having that intimacy over that year, they could be totally happy
right
about the fact that you guys aren't having sex, but they still wake up every morning and give me a kiss and tell me they love me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wouldn't help me with the housework and doesn't try to cook with me, something I would love to do. And doesn't try to improve romance and associate dominance with aggression. You look like you're processing.
Well, I want to know what they mean by dominance. Like, are they in a dom-sub relationship and he just beats the shit out of her? Because that's a problem.
Right.
Like, that's not what a dom-sub relationship should be. People use that as a blanket to be abusive.
Yeah, to be abusive.
So in that scenario, I have questions, but I got to be honest, like, it sounds like he's just a shitty person.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you've given us a very one-sided situation here. So, like, I don't know, is there redeeming qualities there? Is he just a piece of shit and you're miserable? Like,
I don't know. This is also why you wait to have children with somebody. You don't know somebody after 8 months.
Right. But so are you telling us that he establishes dominance with aggression and therefore you guys are fighting and he's a fucking abusive guy? Right? Are you saying that he doesn't do anything around the house with the kid? He doesn't help out. He's emotionally manipulative to get sex and doesn't treat you well, and yet one of the requests that you have is you want him to cook with you in the kitchen? Because that's what I got from that. So he's this person that lies, emotionally cheats, manipulates you, and your grief is that you want him to cook with you and be in the kitchen with you when you cook. There's just this is one of those emails that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You're okay with all of that. You just want him to come and hang out with you in the kitchen and cook with you.
Right.
I can't. I don't want to answer this. There's nothing in there because there's.
So you don't want to keep reading?
I mean, you read the email. Is there more to it that's going to redeem this? Because right now she made him look like a piece of shit, but she's upset that he doesn't fucking cook with her. So, like, is there a lot of redeeming qualities and he does a lot of things? Does he provide? Is he a fucking, the breadwinner and you're a stay-at-home mom? Like, are you guys just having differences in communication? There's just not enough information given to me thus far other than he's a piece of shit and she wants him to cook with her.
The next sentence is, I've realized everything about us is opposite and we have nothing in common. It's because they're out of the love phase.
Right.
The obsession's
past
gone.
the obsession.
You're realizing that you have nothing in common with somebody, and now you have a lifelong tie with this person because you had a child after 8 months.
Yeah, there's just not enough information there to really help these people. This is why we tell people when you send us an email, we need a lot of detail.
Yeah.
Because we can't diagnose. I tell people in the tattoo industry, we can't diagnose what we can't see. If you're having a problem with your tattoo or piercing, you physically have to come in so I can see what the fuck is going on, because you trying to tell me is not going to give me the information I need.
Right.
You sending me an email, you're trying to dictate your life, your entire fucking life, into a little tiny hole that I can see through it. And I only get the perspective of what you send in the email. Mm-hmm. So if you send a little bit of information, it's a very narrow view. I can't see shit. If you give me a really long email and give me all the details about what's going on, I can piece together and at least assume some scenarios. There's just not that there. We don't know if they're married. We don't know how long they've been together. We don't know their ages. We know that he lied. We know that he emotionally cheated. We know that he was still connected to his ex. And obviously there's still good redeeming qualities because she wants him to cook with her in the kitchen and be present.
They're sleeping in separate rooms now.
Yeah, that's over. It's over. Unless she snores or he snores and he's doing that to actually sleep, that's it. They're done.
Well, she keeps saying that she wants to propose a break. You want to leave him.
Yeah.
You don't propose a break because everything's going great and you think there's a future.
Right.
You're proposing a break because you really want to figure out if you want to stay with this guy.
Right. People also use that as a reason to get out because it's easier to end the relationship while you're on a break than it is to just break up.
Right. That softens the blow when there's already been 2 to 3 weeks of separation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just need to leave the guy.
Yep. From what I've seen, I agree.
Yeah.
Why waste more time with somebody that's not meeting the needs that you have in a relationship and is pushing for sex when you don't want to give it? You're obviously not, there mentally. It's not there. The intimacy's gone. You have a whole lot of other issues. Find somebody that meets your fucking needs.
Right.
You're not married. You don't owe him shit. Shouldn't have had a kid with him, but
Right. Her saying that they're complete opposites and have absolutely nothing in common. That's why you date somebody.
Yeah. Build that foundation.
That's why you date and you build a foundation for a year or two and you really get to learn who they are. People who have kids after meeting somebody and being in a relationship for 8 months, you are digging your own hole. You are digging the hole that you're going to bury yourself in because you can't just leave that person at that point. That's one of those things where it complicates the relationship. It's too much.
Right. All right. I have, since we have 30 minutes, I have a short one.
Okay.
And I don't even, it says question for the day is the name of the email. Okay. I screenshotted it. That's how short it is. Good morning, Chris and Peaches. I have 2 questions for the both of you. So if you have the time to answer one or both of them, that would be amazing. First question, what are your thoughts on your significant other telling friends or family members about certain disagreements that you have between your relationship?
Unacceptable.
Agreed. Second question, I'm gay. My direct family, mom and dad, will not allow anyone over their house that I am in a relationship with because they don't agree with me being gay. Therefore, I do not ever go over for family functions, holidays, birthdays, etc. Their reasoning because in the Bible it says it's a sin. And if they allow us into their home, they are agreeing with my lifestyle. What are your thoughts on how to bring up healthy discussion to where we can have common medium between this issue? I'm 30 years old and way too grown for this shit. Yes, you are. 30 years old. Grown. You don't have to do those things.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even try to mediate with them.
Right.
If that's how you feel and you want to disown me as your daughter because you think that my lifestyle goes against your beliefs, okay.
Right. So I have a couple questions though, but if it's a birthday or a holiday or a family function, why do you have to bring someone with you? Are you
going to get married?
That's different.
Right.
This didn't say that. This said...
So, I agree. If you're just dating somebody, they don't have to come to family functions.
Right.
But if it becomes serious and you propose to this person, then that can be an issue.
Right. Well, and at that point, that gets addressed.
Right.
But why do you need to bring your new person around your parents every single time? If your parents disagree with that, that's a them problem. When you meet somebody and you marry them, you're creating your own family, not joining theirs. Right? So the other question that I have is if your parents actually read the Bible, they would know that you are supposed to love everyone and disagree with the sin.
Right.
And you can love someone and not agree with their sin. I don't agree with people who do a lot of foul shit. It doesn't mean that I love them less as a person. Jesus told us we're supposed to love everyone.
Right.
So if your parents are religious, that's the conversation that you need to have.
They need to be better religious people.
They need to understand what Christianity is supposed to be. You don't have to agree with what somebody's doing, but you're supposed to support them and love them. You don't have to support their decisions,
right?
But you should not shun them for what they're doing That's not your place. And that's my belief. So that's why I screenshotted the email, because we have gay friends.
Right.
And
It's also, I cut you off, and I meant to do that because I don't want to forget my thought. I'm pretty sure it was said somewhere in the Bible that we can't cast judgment upon others because we're not God or Jesus.
yeah.
So who are they to say that we're allowing that sin into our house? You're not.
I read that. That was in Corinthians. I read that to you the other night.
Yeah.
It's in 1 Corinthians. I don't remember the chapter, but it specifically says not to you judge believers.
Right.
It says to judge believers because they're Christians. You're supposed to judge them. But everyone who is not a believer of Christ and is not a Christian, it's not your job to do that. That's God's.
Right.
So if you're gay and you don't believe in Christ and that's not your thing, your parents aren't supposed to judge you in that scenario. Read 1 Corinthians and send it to your parents. That's what I would do. You're supposed to love the person and hate the sin. So your parents should be loving you regardless of what you're doing. And if you're a non-believer and they're believers, they shouldn't be judging you in the first place because it says in Corinthians not to do that.
Right.
I am religious. I'm a follower of Christ. I'm not a Christian. I am a follower of Christ and I have my belief system, but I'm not going to judge and put myself in a position to cast judgment on others because it's not my place.
Nope.
If you're a believer and we are close and we're family, I'm going to call you on your shit. But I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm not going to cast you out. And I'm not going to shun you. I'm going to love you the way I'm supposed to love and let God worry about what God is supposed to worry about. And if there's a scripture in there that says otherwise and I haven't read it yet or I don't remember it, that's fine. I'll get to it eventually. But until then, I'm going to love the way I'm supposed to love. That's all there is to that. I fucking hate all of this.
Yeah.
So much.
I mean, we chose to do this.
No, it's not that. I don't mind this.
Right.
Those conversations are fucking stupid to me. They really are. I understand that there was oppression for a long time. It's not anymore. People are going to have a disagreement with your life, and that's okay.
Yeah.
People disagree with our marriage. They can fucking do that.
Cool.
They're not in our marriage. I don't have to agree with what you're doing. I don't have to like what you're doing. I don't have to like you. I'm living my fucking life. You live yours.
Right.
I don't give a shit what people do. If you're not hurting me or affecting children, I don't give a fuck. I've said it over and over and over again. I don't care. If you're happy and you're living your best fucking life, dude, go you. That's all that fucking matters to me. You're not hurting anyone? Dope. Not trying to like force tyranny on anyone? Dope.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't give a shit. I have nothing else on any of that. That puts us right at 2 hours and 44 minutes. It gives me 20 minutes before the phone call. Okay. So you got anything else that you want to add? Any fun stuff that's...
No.
Okay.
It sounded like you were going to say something else.
I was, but we have 15 minutes till that phone call, and I don't want to get into something and know that I have to run to the bathroom because I've been holding my pee for over an hour.
Okay. So
so we should just end it and get ready for that phone call with iHeartRadio and then move on.
Okay.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.
For those of you who enjoy our content and would like to support us and help grow the channel, the easiest way to do that is a super chat here on YouTube. For those of you who really, really like the content and would like to see more of it, check out our Patreon group. It gets exclusive content that will never be seen here on YouTube, early release stuff for those of you who are just as impatient as I am, as well as live streams with a live chat every Friday night. If you can't afford to do either one of those or you're just not into that, the next best thing that you can do is share this with people who you feel may vibe with it. No matter how you decide to support us, it's super dope, and we thank you.